Is up, my friends. Welcome on in. Happy Thursday, happy Friday Eve, one and all. We are Sports Take. You see those handsome gentlemen on top of my right and my left in the squares. You see Barrett Brooks. You see Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. What's up, fellas? How we doing?
What's going on, fellas?
All right, gentlemen,
yes.
my brothers, my countrymen, my fellow journalistic colleagues.
Where?
I come to you this morning asking for prayer.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
What's happening?
Because after this show is done today, I will be babysitting a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old by myself for about 4 hours.
By yourself?
Will be by myself for about 4 hours.
Ooh.
This will be Big Daddy's Daycare's finest test.
I need video of this. I need
No,
some
you don't.
kind
You're not
of
getting video.
stationary camera in whatever room you're going to be chasing them around in.
You're not getting video. No,
Bro,
not getting video.
I'm gonna call. I'm gonna have the National Guard on speed dial. Okay, just
The National Guard on speed dial.
for your own safety, man. For your own safety, man. Just let it ride, man. I got him on speed dial. Okay.
Barrett, something tells me we're going to be getting a panic call from Derek at like 4:30. Something's going on, man. Okay, who could change a diaper? Who could get over here?
Right.
I'm good at that department. It's just corralling a 3-year-old who thinks he's older. This 3-year-old, he don't miss a trick, man. He misses nothing. The 1-year-old has discovered the art of walking, and her taste buds are exploding because everything is good to her. Ice cream, she can't get enough. It's like a junkie. Once she gets a taste, you can't stop. So
I saw her eating ice cream with other pop, man.
Huh?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I saw her eating ice cream with other pop.
You see her bouncing up and down like this,
Right.
like more.
Good to go. Yeah, she was good to go.
So here's the part that's a little bit, I don't want to say demoralizing, but my oldest daughter, she texts me. She goes, "Dad, are you sure you can handle Ari?" I'm like, "What? Am I sure?"
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Now I grant
Ari handle you. That's the problem. That's true. The question.
Now, granted, when my 3 were little, we had 3 in a little under 4 years, and kudos to my wife, because my wife was like a soldier, man. She'd have a backpack, a front pack, and have one by the hand, and she'd go everywhere she had to go. But what is she saying? He will sit them in a chair and give them popsicles. This is true. This is so true. This is true.
I don't know if you want to be feeding them popsicles, man. You're going to get them more hyper.
Right.
I want to go the other way.
My 3-year-old and I, we have this ritual. Occasionally, we go sit out in the garage. We open the garage doors, and that's because the deck was under construction. But we sit out in beach chairs, and we just sit there in the driveway and watch cars go by and have popsicles together, right? So now we can do it actually on the patio deck. So that
sounds like
nice.
a good afternoon to me, man.
But my daughter says, can you handle them? I said, wait a minute. Now my wife was a trooper, man. She had these kids on lockdown. I don't know how she did it. She even traveled cross country when we were living in when we first moved here by herself with 3 kids. Now occasionally I'd have to play hockey. Go. Why are you laughing, Bear? What are you laughing at?
Because I'm thinking to myself, the 3-year-old's gonna be like, he's gonna be like, you've only adapted the dark.
Exactly. I was born in the dark. And
he didn't see light until he was 2.5.
No, but see, he comes home from preschool, and all he wants to do is play his. We have everything about this kid is dinosaurs. All of his clothing, all we buy him is dinosaurs. Like, but now his parents bought him a pair of red Adidas. They're the Sonic the Hedgehog Adidas. So if he can't wear his red Adidas to school, he has a fit. He got all these little shoes. Exactly. That's what he every day. Hey, watch me. We got to watch him run. And his little feet are going nowhere, but he's running around fast. But you got to play the, oh, man, I didn't even see you go by me. Stuff like that. Right? Now, this 1-year-old, she's starting to develop a personality, and she is loud. When she talks, she's learning words, and she talks over everybody. Okay. So between the diaper change and trying to entertain the 3-year-old, because he has dinosaur bingo games, and we buy him all these games, so he wants to play his games. Now, today, for 4 hours, he has to understand, I can't just play with you. We got to watch her as well. So this is going to be – I haven't had to do this in –
That's going to be the challenge.
30 years.
The full attention can't be focused just on the one.
Right.
That's
See,
tough.
there lies the problem because, Rob, we both know, having kids, if one feels as though he's not getting enough attention, and then the 1-year-old, you got to understand the 1-year-old, she's now – able to do things that she hadn't been able to do. She's going to explore everywhere, every cranny.
And then, of course, the showstopper is the diaper. Just never know.
Yeah.
Just never know when it's coming. So
that's good, man. That's good for you, bro.
The fact that my daughter asked me, "Are you sure?" I'm the best babysitter on the planet. What do you mean, am I sure? Can I handle these two?
Hey, man, you got to prove them wrong. She obviously has some concerns here for Grandpa. So
she's just overly protective of her daughter.
No, every once in a while, I call Derek on the way home from work. I'll give him a call and drop a line. I can't wait to call and drop a line this time.
Yeah, today's going to be fun. I might call in mid-babysit, man.
Right.
How long do you have them? What's the time period?
Well, let's see. As soon as I'm off the show, I have to run 2 miles down the road to pick the 3-year-old up from preschool. Get back here. My daughter and son-in-law will be here with the 1-year-old. So I would say roughly from 3:30 until 7:30 until my middle daughter Tina gets off work.
Okay.
No. Until 5:30 until my son-in-law Alex gets home.
You get about a 2-hour shift. You got
about 2 hours, but technically kind of 4.
Well, Tina comes, she got to come home and cook. She usually comes home and cooks, right?
Tina comes home to cook. What?
Yeah, I thought she cooks.
Nah, that's a rarity.
Nah, okay.
No, it's Trish.
You causing trouble, Barrett? Is that what you're doing now?
No, start trouble again.
When Trish leaves and Trish is gone,
but see, Trish comes home. Trish comes home dead tired and she cooks.
Okay.
It's something she'll say, "Well, why didn't you cook?" I said, "Because I'm a decent cook, but my food is not the same as hers. Wow, it's not. I can't."
We'll get you off there, bro. We're going to change the subject. I'm not trying to hear that, man. You're going to get yourself in trouble. Good morning, Mom. But you're going to get yourself in trouble, bro.
I see everybody. We see you,
and
Chris.
I can't even grill.
Trish. We see you, Shane.
I can't even grill today. My grills are not set up yet. So
Trish, I got him. I slowed him down. So
I told my oldest daughter, I said, "Hey, look, bring some food for these kids. I don't care what it is, chicken nuggets, something. Bring them something. Just bring a whole basket of something to entertain these kids.
Chicken
so
nuggets,
have a
mac
diversion,
and cheese, the usuals, yeah.
Something,
You'll survive.
I got plenty of popsicles.
We're here. Like if you need help, we're here. All right, just reach out.
We got you, bro.
We're your lifelines.
Now, I will say this. If you two funny men do decide to call me in the midst of this babysitting, I will not be answering the phone. It ain't personal. It's just big. Like Nino Brown said, ain't personal. It's always business.
I'm going to FaceTime you and see what's really going on.
I'm telling you right now. I'm not picking up the phone. I'm sorry.
Right.
You don't have to. You don't have to. The 3-year-old.
I'm just saying we're here if you need us, man.
No, you're not. You're not. You want to antagonize me is what you want to do.
Correct. Yes.
That's the big deal.
But if you're really desperate, call Barrett. No, you can call us both if you're in trouble. All right. Yeah, but man, I'll tell you, I don't know about you guys. And we'll talk about this a lot today. I hate that there isn't practice to at least talk about and break down. Yes. Yeah, man.
It doesn't seem right, man.
We got a little taste yesterday, and now all of a sudden that's taken away today. They're doing what they call walkthroughs, which doesn't mean they're not doing anything, but it's not intensity level that you had maybe yesterday in the 58 minutes of intensity that they had.
Well, did you hear what Slay said? Slay said that he gets a lot out of those walkthroughs because they walk through certain situational football. And he can ask questions during that time period. Usually when you're out of field, especially when you have practice that are 58 minutes, that means you're going rep, and then you go watch it inside. Right. We say during these walkthroughs, he gets a lot out of them because he can stop, be like, all right, this just happened. What can I do to stop this? Or who's going to do this? Who's supposed to have this responsibility? So it kind of helps him out a little bit, you know? So I think it's supposed to, they go in threes. They go in threes. So work hard 3 days now. And I heard they said that it's usually the third day that you get the soft tissue injuries when the body.
Yeah, that's what the research says. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's why they're doing the third day. So evidently, when they first got in, they did a strenuous conditioning test. Then they practiced the next day. So I guess today's the day 3, in which they right. I would be playing. I'd probably had a Tom Brady-esque length of my career if I was able to do that.
Yeah, you'd still be playing if that's the way it was.
There's no question I'd be. I really believe my first 4 years of my NFL career probably took 15 years off of my life, my total life. So
I believe it, man.
Hey, day 3 of an Andy Reid practice back in the day, they were head banging in, man. It was like that was the first day of hitting, the third day of practice. That's when the most people would converge on camp with that first day of hitting, because it was like clockwork. It was a given. 1 or 2 fights would break out. You know,
On
there'd
the
be so
first day,
much
of
tension.
course.
Oh my goodness! First day hitting. That's how sick we are in this industry. We couldn't wait to get to practice, and we would lay odds on who the first combatants would be every year in practice.
It was Runyon a lot. Runyon was involved in a lot.
Runyon stirred up a lot of stuff, man. Cheap shot and stuff, his own teammates and stuff.
Right. Remember Trey said that.
Yeah, he would play to the whistle, man. You knew that. I mean, you knew that.
That's the competitive nature. That's why they went to 4 straight NFC East, and 4 straight NFC championship games, because the level of intensity they had during practice. Is it different now? Yes. The collective bargaining has it different. Yes, we understand that. Ever since Corey Stringer passed away from being in practicing too long, not giving guys adequate water breaks and all those things, they've been using this to give the NFL players kids gloves. You can't handle the way they used to handle it. And the product has suffered, though. I will say that the product has suffered. You see a lot more mistakes in the first 4 to 6 weeks of football during the season than you do before. I mean, hopefully they get acclimated to it, and it's not as bad this year, but last year was atrocious.
I will say this, though. Considering what just happened down in Tampa, I don't know if I blame Nick Sirianni for backing off this early.
Yeah, so what Derek's referencing is Ryan Jensen, their center, got carted off with what looked like a bad knee injury. And he threw his helmet coming off. Todd Bowles acknowledged the injury, but they wouldn't dig any deeper. Jason liked it too. They wouldn't dig any deeper into it, but it didn't look real good, man. That's 3 pieces missing now from Tampa's offensive line. Margaret retired. The other kid went to Cincinnati. And is it Rappa? I'm trying to remember who it was. And now Jensen. Kappa. That's a big deal, man.
Anytime a player goes down and throws their helmet, they know.
Yeah,
that's the season right there. That's it. They automatically know.
That's tough. But also Marcus Price. Yeah, back in the day, exactly. Back in the day, that's how you judge the future. That's what you know. You can't just forget about the past and take on the future. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to listen. Just understand the past is what makes you hold yourself accountable going into the future.
I think here's what I think. It's not like the hey, just get off my lawn thing. I think it's I think it's interesting just to kind of look at it and debate this a little bit. Look, from an Eagles standpoint, they were the least injured team last year.
Yeah.
Okay. So I get it. Like they have concrete evidence, at least the way they approached it last year going into the season worked.
Right.
And Barrett, here's what you weigh. Healthy, still standing in week 15, 16, 17 playoffs, whatever, versus maybe the first 3-4 weeks where you're sloppy, your technique might not be great, missed tackles, whatever. You try and weigh that. The Eagles also started off 2-5. Did that have anything to do with it? I don't know. And maybe
it absolutely did. It absolutely did.
It's a balancing scale.
Yeah, and you're mentioning back in the day, but let's go back in the day when you didn't have the multitude of injuries coming out of camps and early in seasons that you've had in the recent 5 years.
Yes,
the
why?
injuries, they keep going up because they're not ready. The body's not ready to play.
They're not hardened enough. They haven't done enough to go through the rigmaroles of a 16-game season.
The hamstrings, the ACLs, the Achilles injuries that we've been seeing over the last 5 years, it's unlike anything we've seen in football. So yes, Marcus Price, back in the day, your body was trained a lot differently than it is today, and now you're in a hold your breath kind of holding pattern every practice and at least the first 5-6 games of the season, because guys are dropping like flies because their bodies are not ready.
Well, their bodies aren't ready in the aspect that you don't know how hard you can push your body if you never push it there. You don't know what your limit is unless you take it to the limit. That's why, your body that's why when people lift weights, people don't lift weights. The reason you get stronger is because you're tearing muscle when you're lifting weights. And that's why your muscle they have to build the muscles that you tore, and that's how you get stronger. Well, that's kind of how playing in NFL is. You got to take your body to its limit. You do that in practice. And once you take it to that limit, you know exactly where you can stop and where you can't stop. But if you never push your body to that limit, how do you know how far you can take it? And that's my gripe. You harden your body to being hit. So these are the most conditioned athletes I've ever seen in my life. All these players come into camp in the best shape I've ever seen. I mean, even the offensive linemen have abs. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Defensive linemen have abs. You know, these
Look
guys.
at Lane Johnson,
Aaron Donald. They look like, you know what I'm saying, Greek gods.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The way they condition, but there's nothing you condition. There's no way you can condition your body about taking on a double team with 700 pounds worth of beef by Jordan Mailata and Dickerson drive blocking you if you don't go through and see if your body can handle those type of things. That's
what would you, Barrett, what would you like to see then? Like, I get, you know, this is an extreme now, and it was probably an extreme when Dick Vermeil had 3-a-days. And your day was kind of somewhere in the middle, I guess. What would you like to see now? What would be the best approach for you?
I understand the days of practice, the amount of practices, but I would like to have a little more hitting just to get your body acclimated to playing a little more. You know, situational football, you know, a little more team periods, you know, things like that. You know, you don't necessarily need to go out there and do a lot of the one-on-one stuff and, you know what I'm saying, all that type of stuff. I'm talking about, you know, going through and seeing stuff on the field that you can apply, you know, as offensive linemen, just taking that extra step to make a block. A lot of times they go into games that they don't take that extra step because they haven't conditioned themselves to take that extra step to finish a block. Yeah. That just comes with doing it. So once you get in there and you got a defensive lineman moving away from you, and you got to speed up your feet to hang on to the block and then take 2 extra steps to get past the block, those are the little things you need in practice. You work on in practice. You get better in practice doing those things.
I don't think we'll ever see that again. Once the players won that element in the latest collective bargaining agreement, they're never going to give that up again in a contract. They may not win the money battle in terms of how much money they want to get in terms of salaries, average salaries, retirement benefits, things like that. But they're never going to give up this lessening of practice. I refer to it, Barrett, as a shock value because you tiptoe through preseason training camp, and by the time you got to hit the ground running, your body's in shock because it's full-scale collisions that first game of the season. And you're shocking your body into shape instead of slowly and gradually getting your bodies into shape the way you did back in the day.
What did Mike Tyson say? What did Mike Tyson say?
Everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the mouth.
That's right. That's right. It's so true. It is so true.
That's exactly what it is.
That's one of the great lines ever, by the way.
Right, it is, man. You know, man, but it's true though, man. Once you got somebody 245, 250 pounds running straight through your chest. I remember, man. I mean, first time I got out of pads, and we're in practice, and I go up. And I go to run through. I'm blocking 907. I'll go to run through Willie T. And Willie T's not taking that. Willie T's a finesse player. Willie T's in 907, you know, he'll Olay block you and run around you, you know, because that's what he was. But I thought I was going to run through and try to run straight through his chin. And what did he do? He Olayed me. I fell flat faced on the ground. Next play, I go out and I'm just going to run. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to run through Kirk Avea. And I think he's going to do the same thing, step out the way. Man, he put his helmet right here underneath my chin and jacked me up. I was he's not Olay blocking. Kirk Avea is going to run through you. You know what I mean? So you just got to know, man, what you're dealing with out there. And these kids won't know what they're dealing with until they do it, man. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. No, look, there is definitely, I think, a debate and merit on both sides of this thing. And the Eagles are this goes above Sirianni, too. I mean, this is Howie. He said, Sirianni said it yesterday. Look, I got to trust my medical people. I got to trust the trainers. I got to listen to everybody when it comes to this. I mean, look, he's a hyper competitive guy. I don't know if it's necessarily the way he would want to go, but this is what the analytics. I know when people hear that word, they're going to lose their mind, but this is what the analytics and the data tell them. And this is, you know, again, they're not alone in this. Let's be clear. They probably take it to the nth degree. The Eagles do, but everybody has cut it way back from what it used to.
No, even Belichick. Even Belichick's cut it back, and he hates that.
Yeah, it drives him nuts. He's got to be like, you know, sitting back in his office, losing his mind because of it. But
not only that, but every team has somebody watching to make sure you don't exceed.
That's correct.
And here's the thing I found out recently: there are players on teams that will notify the league anonymously and notify the league office.
Yes.
If guys are if teams are exceeding,
there's almost like a tip line, Derek.
There is. That's what it is. The hotline, a tip hotline. Yeah.
If something's going down, and this applies to like harassment or like anything really, I guess. But but it definitely applies to this because this has happened to teams before.
Yes.
They've been on the field too much in an OTA, and they'll lose their draft pick or something like that. Or they'll get fined.
Or lose X amount of practices.
Correct.
Well, look what happened in Minnesota and Chicago. Those guys were doing a little more than they were supposed to be doing during the OTAs, and they got fined for it, and everything else for it. So, I mean, it comes with if you're not cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah, and Showtime's right. They have cameras at practices that are like league cameras.
Yes.
That are independent of the Eagles or whomever, whatever team you're talking about. They keep their eye on everything. I mean, there is somebody literally like this. Okay.
Watching 32 teams. Wow.
They're at 95 minutes. They got 7 left, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of that stuff that goes on. It's very real.
Bro, I can remember, man, in college, we had a 20-hour rule. You could only have 20 hours on the field, during football activities, period. Mm-hmm. And Snyder would blow it out the water, but nobody was calling it on him.
Right. Yeah. I mean, who you dropping a dime to there? I mean,
right.
So, yeah, it's real. Well, speaking of Camp, Barrett, and we go through this every year with the Camp Darlings, the guys who shine. I know you're going to be down there tomorrow, by the way, which is going to be awesome.
But what's different? What's crazy, man? Because I'll be at camp tomorrow, but I'm going down as alumni as opposed to going down as media.
So what's the difference?
Media. When I go down as media, I don't have access to the players. I'm not privileged to being able to talk to the players, being on the field. I have to stay back where all the cameramen are, all the
peasants,
all us
Derek and I.
Right.
All of us. Yeah.
So tomorrow,
the minions.
Exactly.
So,
so tomorrow, I'm going as alumni, and I'm not going as media. So when I get out there, I'm going on the field. I'll be able to talk to those guys, have access to those guys, but I won't be able to interview them or anything. But I'll just be around them. I'll get a sense, so I can't wait until Monday. Well, actually, I'll be able to do it on Friday when I come on the show about everything that went on. So I can't interview them, but I can definitely give everybody a report on what I saw through my eyes in practice. And that's what I love about doing that. Now, I'll also go on Saturday, but Saturday I'm going as media, so I'll be back behind the ropes like everybody else.
I would imagine also you get a little more intel. You're listening to the coaches talk to the players, the coaches talking to each other about, strategies for certain downs and distances, running certain routes, blocking techniques. You get a little bit more of an advantage in that regard, being right out there in the middle of it.
Yeah, but I tend to keep a little bit of that stuff. I keep that stuff,
Yeah, I know to yourself, but I'm saying you have it here.
Yeah, I'll have it here, but being out there, I'm seeing that. But the biggest thing, with being out there and being able to be around there, you know what I love the most?
What?
Free lunch, man. Them lunches are so good in there, bro. That food is amazing in there, man. I'm talking about
their cafeteria.
Their cafeteria is sick. Oh my goodness,
man,
unbelievable food.
I get to eat free, bro. I can't wait, man. You know what I'm saying?
It's so good, and there's so many options in there.
Yes,
it's
crazy,
unreal how good that cafeteria.
What is wrong with Dang Burrito, man? That dude crazy, man. He better use a whole J. Jaws umbrella.
No, the one I like the most is Showtime that says, "Let's see how many guests."
Gesture. I like the end of it. That'd be a kind gesture.
I like Showtime where it says, "Let's see how many guests Barrett can get for the show." Thank you, Showtime. I was thinking the same thing.
Oh man, you guys are terrible, man.
Yeah, it's funny, man. It's funny though. It is funny. Yeah, look, so I'm looking forward to your insights, man. But there is always that guy that becomes the darling, man.
The Paul
just
Turner
skyrockets, right?
Yeah, the Paul Turners.
Who's the guy this year, Barrett?
You know what? I actually think it's going to be somebody on the defensive side of the ball. I'm going defense this year.
Okay.
And
really?
I'm going with Kyron Johnson, linebacker from Kansas. I think he will be the camp darling because I think he's going to have a lot of reps. He's going to have a lot of reps during the preseason, especially during camp. So I think he's going to be ready to go in and take that Sam linebacker position and run with it, because he'll have the reps. They're not going to put Hassan Reddick out there. So because of that, I really think this young kid is going to be so productive that they're going to need him to play a little bit. So I think he's going to be that camp darling just because I just looked at him, man, and saw how he was built. I called the Kansas game last year, and I just saw all the stuff that he was doing, moves, just being a real monster out there playing, whether it was rush in, or it was linebacker. He did all of them. He played a linebacker depth. He played on the line as a rusher. He played the typical Sam linebacker lined up over the tight end in coverage, also in the run. I think he's going to be the Camp Darrell. You're going to hear a lot about Kyron Johnson, his ability to go out there and play linebacker.
Why did he fall back? Was it just a Kansas thing? Like he wasn't at maybe the biggest school? Yeah.
It was more so a Kansas thing, and he's more specialized, as a pass rusher / Sam linebacker. I really thought, because he played against some pretty good teams. He was playing against everybody in the Big 12, had some great production. I don't know why he fell as low as he did, but I thought he was going to get high. I thought he was going to be drafted high 2s. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, really?
Well, low 2s, high 3s, right around there. Yeah, I thought he's that good of a player.
Okay, all right. So that's the one to keep your eye on, Kyron Johnson, kid out of linebacker, versatile linebacker out of. Look, there's always the offensive guy too that lights it up in a preseason game, and all of a sudden, I think Covey's going to be a guy that we're going to be looking at.
Yeah, the stream loves him. Yep.
I think there's people are. I think more than anything else, it's a curiosity thing with Devin Allen, just to see this guy run. How that translates after sitting out of football for 6 years.
Right. Can he run routes? Effective. You can be fast and can't run routes.
Right.
You can't be rounding out routes off. You got to be very precise. You got to be able to get to the depth you're supposed to be at. Have comebacks. Can he catch? We don't even know if he can catch yet.
Yeah. That's a long layoff, man. That's a lot of time not playing football. I will say this: at least he's not some guy who never played football, and they're just saying he can run, throw him out. He played at Oregon. He played at a high level, but I think that's too long a layoff, person. And the other thing is, that's a really tough position those guys are trying to make. I know they would be more like specialists and whatnot, but we talked about it yesterday, man. You go through the wide receiver position. You're already like 4 down before you even get to Rager.
Right.
So what's there, maybe one spot left? Maybe.
Exactly.
After that, how many receivers do you typically keep?
5 to 6. 5 to 6.
And you got to be able to play teams. You got to be able to tackle, maybe return. I don't know. It's a good question. Rager was one of the guys who was the primary, at least yesterday in practice, as the punt returner. So
was he?
Yesterday he was. Yeah.
That's huge, man. That's if he was the primary guy right now, it's gonna be hard for Covey to make this squad and Allen to make this squad.
Yeah.
Man, that's kind of.
Yeah, I just think some of it depends. It just how it shakes out. Like he fumbles a punt in a preseason game, it could be a different story. I don't know. Because I think Rager's playing in these preseason games. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, he definitely is. Yeah.
I like the question Mr. Taz has: when vets are on the field as alumni, do coaching staff ever ask you guys for any ideas on how to optimize players? Yes, they actually do. I sat down and had a great conversation with Roy Itzvan, assistant offensive line coach, and sat down. We talked a lot about Dillard. We talked a lot about how he's progressed as a player, how he's gotten stronger. We also talked a lot about what's his name, Sewell Peta. They love Sewell Peta. Love him because he's one of those guys that they took from being virtually just a slug and made him into a player, man. So of course, they're going to have high hopes for those type of guys. So he and Dillard are the camp, their camp darlings this year. And evidently those two have been playing well enough that Sewell Peta's been linked to, even competing for that right guard position.
Okay. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about is the right guard spot. Jeff McClain's going to be joining us from the Inquirer at 1:00. Jeff was down there yesterday. There's no media access today with the walkthroughs, just an FYI. So you're not going to be getting those kind of reports.
No.
The play-by-play on the walkthroughs, you're not going to be getting that today. But we'll talk to Jeff at 1:00. All right, so we come back, guys. Here's the question I have for you.
Hey, wait a minute. I didn't get my turn. Rob just forgets me all the time, man. He
so
does
excited
this
to have.
purpose.
By the way, I didn't mention this.
What the heck?
No. I was on with Jody and John today for Birds 365, and John was concerned about Barrett. He was missing him. He thought Barrett ran away. He didn't know what happened. I promised John that Barrett would be on today's show, so we delivered. Barrett's here. Just anyway, John was missing you, Barrett. I'm telling you. But for what it's worth. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Derek,
man.
what will be your camp, darling, Derek? My bad.
I don't even want to share it now. I'm sorry. Just go to break. I don't even want to share it anymore.
No,
I have 4 guys on the list, but I'll just mention one. And I start with Carson Strong. And here's a guy, when you look at his measurables from all the experts, he has all the intangibles to have been a first-round draft pick. But obviously, a lot of teams were scared off because of the multiple knee injuries and knee surgeries that he's had on his right knee. But when you look at this kid, he threw for over 4,000 yards, 30-something touchdowns, and only 8 picks last year. They talk about how this kid has the arm strength to make any throw on any given down across his body. They compared him to a Drew Bledsoe type, Brett Favre type quarterback. Now, he was projected to go in the 4th or 5th rounds. He didn't get drafted, okay? And the Eagles picked this kid up. Now, the negative on him is they view him as a stationary target. I guess his knee has had so much scar tissue that he's like a stationary target in the pocket. But they said this kid is not afraid to zip a 30-yard pass in a small window over the middle of the field. Great arm strength, has everything you want from a quarterback in the future, except the concern about being mobile. Everybody's looking for that next mobile quarterback. And I think he's an intriguing candidate in terms of possibly making his team or them trying to stash him on the practice squad initially because of all the other intangibles. Now, they've got to see it. It's going to be interesting to see how he fares when competition comes up, when he goes down to Miami, things like that, and how many reps the Eagles actually give him and how many game reps they may actually give him in the preseason as well. But this kid could be the sleeper of camp. Not only a darling, but a sleeper.
Well, D-Gun, remember I did a game. I did the Kansas State Nevada game.
Right.
And remember when I came back, when I was watching film, when I was kind of talking about him, and just for casual conversation. But then when I literally sat back and I watched this kid play, man, he has everything, man. He can hose at a country mile, and he throws great deep balls. That was his thing, great deep balls. Only thing is that functional mobility, man. He's just not going to move around. He's going to sit there like Brady. I'm not saying he's going to play like Brady, but he's going to sit there like Brady.
Yep.
And he's going to get the ball out of his hands because he doesn't want to get hit.
Right.
So those are things that can be a gift and a curse. It's not always great to be a guy that's going to run around because you're going to try to get the ball out on time where it's supposed to be at to keep the chains going. Right. Kind of like Eli.
Yeah. But here's the thing, Barrett, because I'm glad you said that, because I looked at his numbers over the last 2 years. He completed 70% of his passes the last 2 years.
Wow. See,
his numbers are incredible, Derek.
See what I'm saying? So not only is he getting the ball out quickly because he doesn't want to get hit, he's accurate.
Right.
Yes.
His numbers last year, 4175 yards, 36 touchdowns, 8 INTs, completing 70% of his passes. So he's not holding the ball long.
No.
And he sees it. That tells me he sees it quickly.
Yep.
And he's getting the ball to where it's supposed to be.
Yep.
And when you talk about, who he's throwing to, now Nevada's never known for having great pass catchers, but obviously these guys are hanging on to whatever he's throwing and he zips it in there.
Yeah.
So I think he has a Brady-esque type in terms of, Brady ran a 40 in like 8 days. When you looked at how his career went on, Brady ain't running anywhere. Okay?
No.
His first step is to hit the ground, save his body. And who's to say that this Carson Strong couldn't be another guy like that? And people laugh, but don't forget, Brady was a 6th-round draft pick. Absolutely. He was an afterthought coming out of Michigan.
Yeah, I think it's more. It's not even so much you just need pocket mobility. That's all you need. You don't need to be a sprinter. But I think more than anything else, from what we're hearing, there's some, I guess, degenerate stuff with the knee. If the knee holds up, man, this guy could be a steal.
Well, I would equate him between a mixture of Byron Leftwich and Eli Manning. He's a mixture of Byron Leftwich and Eli Manning.
There you go. That's a good comparison. They get the ball out of their hands. I mean, Leftwich threw a great deep ball.
Yeah, he did.
Eli threw the ball in time when it's supposed to be out because he didn't want to get hit. So you take those two and mix them together. That's what you get.
There you go. The other one I got on my list, I'm not going to mention all 4 because I know you got to get to a break.
No, we're good.
John Hightower.
Whoa.
John Hightower. Now, here's a guy who played 11 snaps. He played 11 snaps last year, was buried on the practice squad. New coach comes in,
missing in action.
doesn't like something about John Hightower. But his rookie year, in Doug Peterson's last year here, he played 346 snaps in 13 games. Okay. But then all of a sudden, he got nicked up last year, but he was healthy enough to play. As a matter of fact, he could have played. He could have been activated for that playoff game against Tampa Bay, but they activated another receiver instead of him. Right. And I wonder why. I wonder what Nick Sirianni didn't like about John Hightower's game. I mean, here's a long, lean body who his rookie year showed he had some promise. All of a sudden, a new coach comes in, and the new coach goes, I don't know.
Well, Big Red did it to me.
well, yeah. I don't want to bring it up.
I do wonder, too, is that something where Hightower, sits – I'm sure like exit interview, but I'm talking even beyond that. He sits and look, what do I need to do differently here, man? Like, what's the issue? I don't know. I mean, you wonder because he did look like he had some potential, Derek, and now he's in that numbers crunch, man.
Right. He was a weapon, with that earlier coaching staff. They loved him. In fact, but they didn't like the other guy though. So they love Hightower, but they didn't like Quez Watkins. Then this coaching staff comes and they love Quez Watkins and they don't like Hightower. It's just your taste. It's whatever you feel.
Timing, man. Timing in life. You could be at the right place or the wrong place, and sometimes it only takes one person not to like you or one person to like you.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. You just got a ball, man. Period.
You got
ball.
to
Show you got it, man.
Yeah.
A lot of guys don't take advantage of opportunities, man. You get a short amount of opportunities, especially during camp. You got to maximize those opportunities. He'll get plenty of time during camp, because they're not going to play those top three guys.
No, right. You're right. That's the great advantage these guys have. The way preseason games are approached, all the backups are going to get plenty of time. Man,
absolutely.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to decide how you're going to fill out this roster.
Yep.
Well, all we talk about is front lines guys, but you got to have second and third tier guys also.
When you look at,
and I'm looking at Tavern Mikey said tonight on Twitter, D Gun compares Carson Strong to Tom Brady. No, it says he's the next Tom Brady. No, I did not.
He's kidding. I think he's kidding.
I know he is, but I know. Nope.
But you know what, man? I doubt if you see Brown, Smith, Pascal, or they might play Watkins a little bit, but I don't think the other three guys will see the field this entire, because that's why they got Ward, they got Hightower, they got Wheatfall, Allen, Covey.
Yep.
They just signed Lenore, so they got plenty of guys to run routes out there. They'll have ample opportunity to go out there and play. See, this roster,
and you're not, and if you're Carson Strong, I think Minshew's going to get a quarter, maybe
the entire 3 games. Yeah, there's 3 games this year. They're 3 games now.
You can see
3 games last year.
It's 3
last year.
Yeah. It started
we got 3 now. That 4th game used to be, where you show your stuff as a guy that's low on the totem pole. You go out there and you're interviewing for 31 other teams.
Yeah.
That's when you have to play. They don't have that now. So
no.
I mean, we haven't even talked about that.
Yeah, 4th game, the regulars didn't even put on the uniform. They were on the shirt, the shorts, the sideline shorts, and T-shirts, man.
They got to get it going. They got to get it going.
Let it all hang out, that's for sure. All right, so come back, guys. Who has the most pressure on him? Sirianni, Gannon, Hurts,
or Brooks? Deal with you two.
Yeah. Derek's the answer.
I'm in a happy place. I am not taking shots at Bear today.
You gotta save all your energy for your babysitting.
That's what it is.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. See, we're talking football. So I'm just still thinking, okay, what am I going to do with these 2?
You better pace yourself. You don't want to leave. You don't want to have no gas left in the tank at 3:00, man. You need
what games you got for them?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, man.
You better be prepared, man.
How many popsicles do I have in the freezer?
So I'm going to give you time to regroup now, Derek. Recalibrate. All right, get set. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, finances are a big deal. You don't work that hard for nothing. You don't work that hard, when it's retirement time, not to be in good shape, okay? And I got the person who can help you get to that finish line and be in good shape. That's Jim Murray from Principal Financial Group. I can tell you from personal experience, he's absolutely amazing, all right? He is amazing. Whether you're going through retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review, if you have your own business and you have employees and you're trying to set up their employee benefits, that's another resource that he can help you with. I could tell you personally, years, I tried different things. I tried different people, and I wasn't happy. And I finally got to the right person who can answer all my questions and kind of be ahead of things, be proactive, not reactive. And that's Jim and Principal Financial. I've entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollover to Jim, and I couldn't be happier. You can too. Give him a call. 610-996-4751. That's 610-996-4751. Or you can email him at Murray, MURRAY.Jim@principal.com. That's Murray.Jim@principal.com.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community, a sports roundup for the locals, and the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that. Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Of course, you can always check out our content as well, jakibsports.com. You have a lot of John stuff, a lot of Eagle stuff, John McMullen. You can also link up to our show. You can link up to our podcast of our guests that we've had on. Again, coming up at the top of the hour, we'll have Jeff McClain from the Philadelphia Inquirer. All right, guys, so the question I posed to you before we went to break, let's dive back into it here, is most pressure on them this year. Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, Jonathan Gannon. You look at Sirianni, first of all, he's a head coach, in the NFL. And they set the bar last year pretty high in the first season. They got to the playoffs. They've added a lot of talent. Same thing can be said for Jonathan Gannon in terms of talent added to this, especially his side of the ball. I mean, think about this, guys. Reddick, Kaiser White, Bradbury, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, just to name a few. Then you go Jalen Hurts. He's a quarterback in the NFL, and he's playing in Philadelphia. And he doesn't have that fifth-year option that first-round picks had because he was a second-round pick, which means, essentially after this season, the Eagles have to make a decision on his future here with the team. So of those three, I'll start with you, Derek. Who has the most pressure on them?
I'm going to go with Jonathan Gannon. People were screaming at his style of defense last year, not aggressive enough. And we came to the conclusion maybe he didn't have the personnel to do some of the things that he wanted to do. If he is considered this highly touted next head coach of the NFL, and a lot of people have a lot of respect for him, and he had several offseason interviews. Gannon did, and everybody seems to be so high on him. This is his year to show why he deserves to be a head coach. What did Howie Roseman say? We're only renting Jonathan Gannon for so long.
Jeez.
What do you say, sheesh?
I mean, look, I'm a fan of his. You guys know that. I think the city's going to flip the script on how they feel about him. But man, we're talking about him like he's Buddy Ryan of the '86 Bears. We're renting. I mean,
I'm just telling you what Howie said. Man.
I know. I listen. I know. You're right.
But you look at his depth along the defensive line. We look. Let's start with beyond Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave, who can get significant push anytime, anywhere. Then young Milton Williams, as the season progressed last year, started to get some of that same type push. Obviously, he learned his lessons well from watching and talking to Fletcher Cox and Hargrave as well. Now they add a road grader to the mix in Jordan Davis as well. You look at what they have on the edge. Brandon Graham coming back, motivated because this could be his last year, according to Brandon. It could be his last year with the Eagles. He's hoping he gets to finish out his career here, but that remains to be seen. Josh Sweat has potential. Derek Barnett has that potential. You got Hassan Reddick standing up on the outside or putting his hand in the dirt. You look at the wealth of linebackers they have, which they didn't have before. The two cornerbacks, they have two proven corners now. They brought in a proven safety. So Jonathan Gannon has a lot of pieces to play a lot of different games with offenses this year. So I think people are sitting back and saying, okay, and what have we seen not only in our chat room, but across social media? We better see something from Jonathan Gannon's defense this year. We better see a more aggressive style of defense this year. They better have more quarterback sacks, more quarterback hurries, more quarterback pressures. We expect this defense to be a top 15 defense. That's a lot of pressure to put on a defensive coordinator because now you have what you did not have a year ago to work with. So we expect to see, and it's only natural, we expect to see a much better product on the football field this season.
Yeah, I think let me just sort of amend like, I'll give you an example, what Marina says here. I hope the lease is up real soon. The only thing he has shown is like that's the prevailing thought. I think the majority of people are not fans of Gannon's, right? I think most people go into this season thinking negatively about him. And whereas I think certainly with Hurts, it's polarized, it's split.
Right.
Sirianni, I think it's definitely more favorable for sure. But Gannon Barrett definitely goes in as the one with the mark on his back, I think, more than anybody else.
Expectations, man. Expectations are that, all right, we've given you everything you need now. Now you got to go out there and produce. Especially him being a young coach, his first time being a defensive coordinator. I don't know, man. He can't be here in Philadelphia and have the mindset that you can go and have a team. And I think this is what his mindset was. Teams should not be able to have 13-play drives, go all the way down the field and not make a mistake. And he was banking on teams not making mistakes. And that can only work for, so many teams. Once you have those high-powered offenses, they're going to go out and score. And what are you doing there? You're not aggressive enough. He has to be more aggressive, especially being here in Philly. If he can call a more aggressive game with the individuals he has right now on the roster, then, I think he has a shot to be, one of the better coaches in the league. He probably will get a head coach job. But right now, looking at what he has everything he needs to run any system he wants in the world right now. He can run Buddy Ryan's 4-6 system. He can run the Pittsburgh Steelers 3-4 system. He can run a 4-down system. He can do everything because he has players that will do it. Now, can these players switch back and forth? Is he a good enough coach and be able to guide his coordinator? I mean, not his coordinators, but his assistant coaches to get these guys to buy into it and play the defense the way it's supposed to be played. That's going to be harder than what people are giving credit for. To flip-flop from a 4-down to a 3-down is tough.
Right. Who would you go with in this of these threesome?
I would go with the head coach because it's his second year. You guys are talking about Hurts and Gannon. Well, he's the guy that's over the top of both of those guys. If something goes wrong, it's not necessarily going to go to those guys. It's going to go on him because he's supposed to be now in a position where he can go and be that mediator between, himself and the quarterback, himself and the defensive coordinator. He shouldn't have to go, sit back and just be a guy calling the plays. He's handed those responsibilities over. Now he has to govern the entire team as opposed to just staying on the opposite side of the ball. Now he has to get in Gannon's, hey, man, you're not being aggressive enough.
Right.
Does he have the stones to do that? Go over to Hurts, man. You got to get it going. Does he have enough to do it? Hey, come on now, Sayamalu. You're my starting right guard. Let's go. So it's going to be a lot on his plate to govern these guys. And it's going to be a lot of pressure, handed down from Howie. Howie, he likes to put guys, the open day roster. He has a lot of say-so on the 46-man roster going into game day. I don't know if that's good or bad, but a lot of the times he has to go through Howie to put guys on the field, and that's kind of tough from a head coaching standpoint.
Do you worry, Barrett, at all with him? And I'll answer in a second, but do you worry that he's too buddy and not willing to bring the hammer down? Where he's not enough of say an authority figure that he tries to be too friendly with these guys?
I think he has a nice, delicate relationship with the players. The players like him. So since the players like him, they'll give him a little more leeway. But if they start losing, they can go downhill really quick, no matter how good that relationship is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Guys could turn off from a coach real fast. Does he have enough power to make guys get back into position, fall back into position? We'll have to see that. Things are going well right now. Things were going well the latter half of this season. So, keeping those guys, under his spell is cool right now. But if they start losing, they can start losing a lot of those older guys that are relieving them right now.
Okay.
But I think we saw Sirianni also be able to be that tough guy last year when he got in. Him and Jalen Hurts had a heated discussion on the sideline one game.
Yep.
And I think that sets a tone that because players always think a coach treats a quarterback differently than he treat any other player on a team.
Glove. Yep.
Yes. But I saw him, we saw him get into Jalen Hurts' grill, and they were going at it on the sideline one game. So I think that sets the tone. And lets the other players know if he's not afraid to step up to the quarterback and call him out when he has to, then everybody else better fall in line as well, because we're subject to being called out as well.
Yeah, look, that's fair. I think it's you have to be who you are. And Sirianni is an excitable guy. He is by nature, sort of a cheerleader. I don't mean that in a negative tone. I really don't. I think he's a guy who openly roots for people. He's happy. He's not walking around scowling. He doesn't look like Belichick, like he would rather be anywhere else miserable. It's just, he's got to be who he is to an extent. I do just worry a little bit about him being too buddy. But anyway, I would say Hurts for this reason. He could either play well and get a close to Kyler Murray kind of deal, maybe not quite, but a life-changing kind of deal.
Yes.
Or he goes out and plays mediocre to – I don't think he's going to play bad, but let's say he plays mediocre. Then he's in danger of even being a starter in this league. And he's in danger of not being an Eagle, because the Eagles are sitting there with those 2 draft picks in their back pocket next year. And mediocrity is not going to cut it. And I just don't think he's long for this situation here if he doesn't go out there and play well. And by nature – all 3 positions that we're talking about, quarterback, coach, defensive coordinator in Philadelphia, is going to have inherent pressure on it. And I think he handles pressure well. I don't think he's going to be overwhelmed. I don't think he's on Twitter looking at what everybody's saying about him. I don't think he cares about that. Nonetheless, you got to go perform, and he knows that. And that's the bottom line in this business. He's been benched before. And it wasn't necessarily because he wasn't playing great in that game, but because Tua was really good. He knows that that's the way this goes if you don't get the job done. I think there's a ton of pressure on Jalen Hurts.
You're absolutely right, man. There is a lot of pressure on him, man. But I mean, that just comes with that's the baggage that comes with being an NFL quarterback, man. You're gonna get that baggage. Same thing, make you laugh, make you cry.
Yeah.
Having the reins of an entire football team It's tough, man. You know, you got a lot riding on your back, but there's one guy in that locker room that can handle it. It's Jalen.
Yeah,
exactly.
Jalen can handle that.
I would also say too that even let's just say he played okay. I still say they would keep him in 2023 because then he would be in the third year of Sirianni's system. And even if they went out and used the first-round draft pick on a so-called quarterback of the future, Jalen will still be a perfect backup. Now, I would even go so far as to say Jalen could be your starter again in 2023 until a new guy gets up to speed, so to speak, to alleviate some of that burden of a guy hitting the ground running, having to take over a team, like a Trevor Lawrence, who had to learn how to play the NFL game on the fly because he was the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
Right.
And he supposedly had that pedigree where he could make that instant transition from the college game to the pros.
That was a dumpster fire, though, man. That coach was.
He
I
was.
can't believe that coach.
Yeah, he was.
That whole situation was a dumpster fire.
What? Trevor Lawrence.
But Trevor Lawrence took his lumps. Now he's under a coach who's a quarterback-friendly coach, who's had a good measure of success as a head coach in the National Football League, and is also a player's coach. And oh, by the way, he also played the position that Trevor Lawrence played as well. Yeah. So here, you have a situation where Jalen and Nick have a relationship, and Jalen will be that much older into this system as well. Jalen could hold off a rookie again in 2023 long enough until this team deemed that this so-called future quarterback learned the system, had the system down to a T to make the transition. So even if it didn't pan out, I don't think it would end Jalen's tenure here in Philadelphia.
But Derek, the days are numbered. If he's in a lame duck
his days are numbered, no question.
Year with a young kid grooming, getting groomed,
But the good thing is that young kid is still under a rookie contract, so it's not like they would have to go out and find another veteran quarterback to bring in here.
Yeah,
it teaches them a system.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this: do you think Sirianni has enough? I mean, we already know he's a botanist. Does that still fly with these guys? You know what I'm saying? Wearing the T-shirts, and I mean, can he coach? That's what we need.
Right. It's almost like we talk with Hurts. We love all the intangibles, and Nick's an excitable, fun guy. But yeah, you got to be able to. You got to have the chops. In the end. I don't think like his message gets old. I think he needs to keep it fresh. You can't do the plant analogy again. You got to be able to figure out different ways to motivate guys and touch guys, whether it's veterans or young kids or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're right, Barrett. This is the first year. There's so much stuff going on in a first year where you're putting in a new system. There's a lot of moving parts. The second year, I think, is where everything kind of slows down and you see, all right, I'm not sure what we're doing here works. Or listen, this guy knows what the heck he's doing. But I know last year the veterans legitimately bought in and believed in him. So that's a good sign for him.
Well, we've heard the players talk about how much they love him because he does stuff like that. You don't see coaches wearing a player's face on a T-shirt. Even in today's game, you don't see that often. And what have we heard last year and this year about Sirianni? The players love him because, hey, man, he's one of us. He's for us. He supports us, and we think it's cool that he does that kind of stuff. It's a different approach. And maybe that's a part of the aspect of coaching today's player as well.
I agree. I need a D-Gun shirt. I know that's a given. I need.
Wait, do you need a D-Gun shirt or a Gunner shirt? Which one?
I need a – that's a good point. Maybe two different shirts. Maybe I need a D-Gun and a Gunner shirt. We got to make that happen. All right, so we'll come back. Jeff McClain's going to be joining us from the Inquirer. Don't go anywhere. Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, let's talk about Pro Action Restoration. What is Pro Action Restoration? Well, here's the deal. If you have a home, a business, you may have a property, and you experience water, fire, smoke, mold damage, they're the people that you want to call. And by the way, they're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist. I've gone through it. I've experienced water damage. It was at my parents' house. It was in their basement, a finished basement. And I thought, man, they're doomed. But they got over there. They cleaned it up quick. The price was reasonable, and they never had a problem again. And it was all thanks to Pro Action Restoration. They are licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action will work in conjunction with your insurance company as well. Again, it could be water, fire, smoke, damage, mold remediation. You name it, they can handle it. Give them a call today, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community. A sports roundup for the locals. And the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Happy Thursday. Thanks for hanging with us. Hour number 2 of Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. We are joined now by a man who does an unbelievable job covering the Eagles and has for a good amount of time. We'll find out exactly how long for the Philadelphia Inquirer. You can follow him on Twitter at Jeff_McClain. And of course, check out his work as well at Inquirer.com. What year is this, Jeff, you grizzled veteran?
Yeah, I know. When did that happen?
I didn't hear you, Jeff. What is it?
All right, yeah, number 14 for me.
14. Wow.
Damn. All right. It's good. It's good. And amazing how you're 21 and it's been 14 years since
I
you
know.
Crazy how that math works out, Jeff. But
real young.
Yes, I hear you. As Barrett's pooch makes an appearance on the program. We like it. So give me your overall, Jeff. Just give me one thing that you said yesterday. That kind of stood out to me, that you kind of left a mark, an indelible mark on you that was good, bad, indifferent, goofy, whatever. Give me one thing from yesterday, your first day back.
Oh, wow. It was 58-minute practice.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I think
well, let's start there then, Jeff. Is that they were the least injured team last year? You know, Nick Sirianni talked about it. It's a process.
They finished 11th or something like that.
Well, that was it. That were his words, I guess, or Howie's words. I don't know, but
that's not true.
What's your sense? What's your sense of why they're are they going the right direction here, or should they be practicing more?
No, I mean, certainly they were much more improved in terms of the health department last year. I think they finished 11th in Football Outsiders adjusted games lost to injury. And that was after the 3 previous years when combined, I think of the combined 3 years, only the Jets and the 49ers had more adjusted games lost to injury than Eagles. So certainly there was an improvement. I don't know if the sample is large enough to say that this is the reason why they didn't have as many soft tissue injuries last year. as they had in the previous 3 years, but certainly the Eagles believe so. We saw last year the kind of lessening of how strenuous and intense practices were. Nick was more inclined to give them walkthrough days this year, even more so. Instead of 14 days in the first 2 weeks of camp leading up to the preseason game, they only have 10 days of practice. So there's now 4 walkthroughs. And we even saw in the spring, there was only really essentially 5 practices that they had. And they believe that this is how you combat the amount of soft tissue injuries that we see pile up over many training camps throughout the NFL, and that the Eagles certainly have had over the years. A lot of the injuries you can't avoid, ACLs, Achilles, for the most part, those types of injuries, broken bones, etc. But the soft tissue ones, certainly there are ways to lessen the number of those, and the Eagles believe that practicing less and not as hard will be the reason why that they'll be one of the healthier teams this coming season.
Hey, Jeff, how frustrating.
Derek, let me follow. Do they make up more in the film room because they're not on the field as much? Is there more time made up, or is that just kind of it? When they're done, they're done.
They're doing more. Like, I think they're spending more time on the walkthroughs, or the speed walkthroughs, as Nick calls them. That's how they kind of get their on-field time in terms of learning the offense and the defense and breaking down, getting to know the plays. In terms of getting game ready, in terms of conditioning. Yeah. They believe that that's enough, and what these guys do in terms of the locker room and some of the other conditioning activities that the Eagles sports science staff have them partake in.
Hey, Jeff, as a daily observer of an Eagles practice, how frustrating is it from your perspective of having even more of a condensed opportunity to watch these guys, to get a feel for what you're looking at? It's got to drive guys like you nuts who write daily stories, daily columns, and is always looking for something a little different to grasp and to write about.
And honest, just to kind of backtrack a little bit too, I'm not saying this is, like, I think we joke a little bit about just because we all 4 of us have been around a while, and we know the 2-a-days, and we know what Andy Reid's training camps were like. And even before that, Dick Vermeil was ridiculous. They started in July and they had 6 preseason games. Yeah. That was overkill probably. And I think the advances that have been made in science and science and technology, et cetera, they don't think it's necessary. And I don't think there's any reason to suggest that maybe it isn't. I know that there are plenty of medical guys out there, trainers that I've talked to around the NFL, that believe that NFL players still need to be trained like boxers to prepare them for the rigors of the season. So there's definitely 2 ways of still looking at this. In terms of my job, I don't expect the Eagles to care, and nor do I. And nor do I really make that much of a big of a deal about it. It's just it's we have to find alternative ways to cover the team if we're not going to get as much access. And certainly we've dealt with that now over the last few years because of all the restrictions that were placed upon what we could do in terms of the pandemic. But yeah, certainly we have 4 less days that we can kind of watch these guys and get a handle on what they can do, and also in terms of talking to them, what's happening in terms of our access to them. After practices is pretty much the same as it was last year. We are, as far as I can tell, are going to be back in the locker room once the season starts. And it's not about me. I think it's really about the fans and the stories and the information and the inside access that they want about the team that they love so much. That's hopefully what we try to provide.
Well, let me ask you this, Jeff. I mean, going into last year, going into the meat and bones of the schedule when we first started, they went 2-6 or something like
2-5.
2-5. Now, I mean, I understand they just learned that system. Guys just learned what it was to be a player under Nick Sirianni. Do you think it'll be a lot different going into this year, or with them not practicing a lot, will they have basically the same results going into the beginning of the year also?
I think it's fair to. I wrote something myself that it's fair to point out that they got off to a slow start last season.
Right.
They came out guns blazing though in the first game. I mean, it didn't look like they were, they weren't conditioned for that game. and there was a lot written last year heading into that first game. I felt like it had just had more to do with the talent and the coaching and the quarterbacks they faced in those first 7 games more than anything. That being said, there was during those 3 years that the Eagles suffered a lot of injuries. There were some staffers there that felt that Doug Peterson, he started to kind of pull the reins off of how hard his practices were. If you recall, the first year he got there, it was tough. It was kind of like in the mold of what Andy Reid had done, certainly with not as much since the CBA kind of cut down on the number of practices and how long they could be. And there were some people who felt the fact that Doug kind of eased up, that guys were suffering injuries early in the season because of that, and that there was a direct correlation. The Eagles didn't. I mean, they had the injury to Brooks. They had the injury to BG.
Graham.
Those weren't, those were kind of freakish type injuries. They didn't have a lot of soft tissue injuries early on. So, I don't know. It's hard to say definitively whether there is some correlation between how much they practice and how hard they practice and whether they're suffering these types of injuries in the season. But there are players that have to learn the scheme, and they have, muscle memory, and you want them to run through those plays at the highest level possible. They will have these 2 weeks of inter-squad well, I hate to say 2 weeks. They'll have 2 sessions of inter-squad practice against both the Dolphins and the Browns. You can flip those 2 in terms of the order of them. It'll be Browns and then the Dolphins. That's 2 days each of inter-squad practice, and they'll use those to evaluate and get the starters ready. And when the preseason games are played, it'll be mostly the backups.
Jeff, I personally don't care what T-shirt Nick Sirianni's wearing. He had the Hurts on yesterday, but some people view it as maybe they're concerned that he's too much of a player's guy, that he maybe won't bring the hammer down, that he's trying to be too much of a buddy. I don't buy it. I think it's his personality. I think it's fun, in fact. But do you worry at all that he's maybe he can't be hard enough at times on these guys?
No, because I've seen it up close already. Yeah. I mean, last training camp, I mean, he wasn't afraid to call out guys in the middle of practices. And I heard at various points last season that he would bring the hammer down. So I don't think, I've written about this and I wrote a little bit about this summer when I spent some time with Nick away from the field. He's got a temper. He's a hot-blooded Italian, man. I mean, like he can be a screamer. And it's not just, what we saw a lot of officials on the sidelines, et cetera, at that. I mean, he'll bust it. He'll bust the vein every now and then on players. And so I don't think that is any area of concern for me. But he likes to, but he'll still love them up too. He'll call them out when they need to be called out, but also love them up, and maybe overly so. But I think that's what you need out of today's NFL coaches.
I forgot about the love them up stuff, man.
Yeah, you know how it is. The emotional intelligence to kind of these guys, they need to be. And Nick spoke about this a little with us in June, and he says he's learning this as well. He's realizing how much players need to be coaxed and how much of their egos that need. I mean, he didn't use the exact words, but essentially how much of their egos need to be coaxed, and he has
the way of athletes.
It is. I mean, it's the way a lot of us are. I mean, who doesn't want to be told that you're doing a good job? Yeah. So sometimes you need it. Even the greatest players around. I mean, Tom Brady needed it from Belichick at times. So I think Nick has a pretty good handle on that locker room.
Hey, Jeff, in the first segment of the show, we were talking about some of the training camp darlings that are in camp. One of the names I brought up was Carson Strong. And this guy's one of the more intriguing people in this Eagles camp. He had the talent to be a first-round pick. He was projected to go in the 4th or 5th round. He doesn't get drafted. And it all goes back to the multitude of knee injuries that he's had, and people refer to him as a stationary target. But when you look at him play the game, the throws he could make, wasn't afraid to put a tight spiral in a small window 30 yards down the field. Is he would you consider him a sleeper in this camp as a guy who could possibly shock a few people given an opportunity?
It's funny you bring that up, Gunner. I was talking with another reporter about Strong coming off the first practice, and you wouldn't think that he's right now the 4th quarterback on the team, and some of it has to do with the fact that I saw him at the Senior Bowl, and you know, he didn't look great. I mean, the throw looks good, as you mentioned. He's got the arm talent. It's that knee that really dropped him off of draft boards and why he was undrafted. He was told not to play last season. He decided that he wanted to play partly because he felt he owed it to his team and his teammates.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think that's maybe that's kind of a storyline. I don't think so, from what I understand. So he's got that intangible off the field. I think what could happen is the Eagles haven't really had a guy that they could, a young quarterback that they could bring in and develop. I mean, they had that with Nate Sudfeld. They haven't had it since him, and that didn't really turn out so well. But Carson Strong is potentially that guy. And I would say right now, most likely to be that third quarterback who makes slips on the roster. In terms of the ceiling, I mean, I'm not going to go as far as he's going to compete with Jalen Hurts or even make the Eagles believe that this guy could be the answer if Jalen Hurts isn't the guy this year. But let's say he's really good. Maybe Minshew, if a quarterback goes down, or a team that still maybe needs a starter, maybe he's a guy that you would feel is expendable, depending upon what you get in return. If you feel Strong could play right away in case Jalen Hurts gets hurt.
I heard a lot of noise around Zach McPherson. Zach McPherson was my guy. You know, before we even picked up Bradbury, I was a strong advocate for McPherson. I heard he had a pretty good day yesterday.
Yeah, he shined in camp last year. Yep. He looked like he could play. He belonged. He didn't look like this was a guy that was totally over his head. He could play at this level. And when he got in there the few times he did last season, he did fine.
Yep.
So I agree with you. I think McPherson's an NFL cornerback. Is he a starting caliber cornerback? I don't know about that, but I think they feel comfortable having him as that third guy on the outside in case they need him. He's certainly got stuff to learn, as all cornerbacks do. It's a tough position. You have to have a short memory to play that spot in the NFL. But in talking to him over the year, I haven't got to know him as well as I normally would have had we been in the locker room, et cetera, all the other stuff. But I do like what I hear out of him whenever he does talk. So I want to see a little more out of him too as well this camp.
Jeff, in your estimation, what you're hearing maybe in the offseason or whatever you saw yesterday, however you want to slice it, what's your sense on what Jalen Hurts worked on the most this offseason?
I think his footwork. And you hear that from a lot of quarterbacks that head to Southern California to work out with Tom House and his crew and Adam Dato. And it was the same way with Carson Wentz years ago. A lot when Carson would sail passes or et cetera, it wasn't really more about the arm. It was more about what was happening down below and how you're getting your feet aligned and setting them and having the proper stability, or making sure that you're moving in the right direction, you're aligned the right way when you're throwing. And I think when Jalen has had accuracy issues, that's been a big reason why. So I think that's what I'm going to kind of focus on watching that. I'm not, quote unquote, an expert, but I think I've watched enough to know what looks right and what doesn't look right. He looked pretty good yesterday, I thought, in terms of like his mechanics. When he threw that interception, it was because he was late, and I think it was a second or third read in the progression. Whatever. I mean, it's one practice. Who really cares about it in the big picture? But he's going to have those moments, and I don't think too much should be made about that. But when the inter-squad practices start, and certainly when the season starts, he's got to show that that's an area in which he is improved.
Jeff, what are we to make of John Hightower's status with his team? I mean, his rookie year, he's in 13 games, 346 snaps for Doug Peterson last year, 11 snaps buried on the practice squad. And when they could have activated him for that playoff game against Tampa, they activated another wide receiver. I mean, does he have a shot to make this team?
Gunnar, I love it, man. You're such a football guy. Like,
thank you.
Talking about the rookie quarterback and John Hightower. And again, another funny thing. He was a guy I'm watching. I'm like, Hightower is still here. Like,
see what I mean?
Unbelievable.
But you know how these draft picks sometimes, especially at the wide receiver position, you need wide receivers in camp. I mean, they got honestly, there was one guy that is it Carrick Whitehall? Carrick Whitehall.
Yeah.
I think he was on the COVID list. And I'm like, is he a D-back? That sounds like a D-back. That's got a D-back.
Sounds like a D-back.
You know, how they shuffle guys in and out. But Hightower's a guy I noticed out there. And I'm like, okay, you know, it didn't go so well for him. Just Hightower. I just even recall back when Doug Peterson was trying to force him in the lineup and they're throwing these deep passes to him and interceptions were happening. And all of a sudden, you know, they realized later in that season that Quez was the guy that really had the talent, not John Hightower. No, I don't think Hightower is going to make the roster.
Well, what about either one of the return kids that we're talking about? It's just Allen. Allen's 16. He hadn't played football since 2016, and then you have Covey. With, you know, them not really playing special teams and other positions. I mean, like they're returners, yes, but I mean, I can't see either one of them going down on kickoff return. I mean, playing kick return, kickoff, punt return, all that stuff. How do they make the team? How can they make the team? Or is it just a foregone conclusion they're going to be out here?
I mean, yeah, you got to be kind of very special in terms of that ability. Because like you're saying, you need to do, if you're one of the bottom roster guys, you got to be able to do a bunch of different tasks.
Right.
You need to be versatile. And honestly, when you look at this roster, there aren't, not only are there not many position battles in terms of startings and even kind of like the second teamers, there aren't many spots on the roster at the bottom. Yeah. You're going to have to really show something here if you're an undrafted guy or if you're a guy that they kind of signed as a free agent.
Well, it bodes well. It bodes well for us because that's a sign of a good team.
Yeah, for the Eagles, yeah. I mean, right. You know, they've had teams like this before, rosters like this before, and it ended up being a team that did pretty well. So I think that's why there is optimism on this team. You know, that being said, there's a lot that's unanswered, and there's a lot of questions to be answered. Excuse me. In terms of the punt returning, they had Rager up there first yesterday. I don't know if that's how it's going to pan out based upon the way last season finished, but it could. Rager's probably still going to be here based upon his contract and what they, in terms of his ability, there's not like this kid can't do it. He's just got to get mentally straight.
Who, Jeff, go on the other side. How do you think they are going to most utilize, or in your opinion, best utilize Hassan Reddick? I heard even yesterday, and you tell me because you were there, I wasn't. And I know this is just kind of random stuff sometimes. He was dropping back into coverage. I don't know if that's the best way to utilize him, but what's your sense of how they are going to use him?
Well, he's going to have to do it if he's going to play that Sam spot. And even if he was on the other side, he's going to have to do it a little bit too. But, you know, he's much more natural doing it. I mean, as you guys recall, when he was drafted by the Cardinals, it was as an inside linebacker. So he knows how to drop into coverage. Was he great at it? No. I mean, that's why they kind of moved him back to where he's a natural guy and edge rush. That's what he did best at Temple. But, you know, I would say like 130 snaps is probably how many of the, let's say, 700 that he plays he'll have to drop, maybe even less than that. You just gotta kind of in certain looks make sure that threat is there to opposing offenses. Oh, he could do this, do it enough, and he can do it and not look terrible doing it. Like, let's say the way that Derek Barnett last year, he can't do it. I mean, again, you can do it a few times, and hopefully they don't throw your way. If you're in a zone, you're in the right spot. But Reddick can do it better. He can do it better than Jannard Avery. Upgrade not only certainly in terms of how he can get rush off the edge, but I think in terms of also coverage. Maybe not run stopping. That would be the issue that I have with Hassan.
Okay,
get eaten up by blockers off the edge.
Are you confident in Gannon and his ability to flip-flop back and forth and teach those guys how to, you know, use those different techniques when it concerns to the different defenses he's trying to switch to? Like, it's two gapping to one gapping, you know, two gapping when you're running that 30 front, one gapping when you're running the 4 down front. You know, that's going to be a lot for these players to get. Does he have the guys in place that can do that and allow them to run those multiple fronts?
Well, he's got more than he had last year. I will say that. It was an issue. I mean, he had guys playing. I mean, Tyron Jackson and Josh Sweat were playing that 4-eye tech spot and on base downs, and they would just run at those guys and bowl them over, and it wasn't good. Now you get Josh Davis really. There's like a domino effect with him being in that middle spot, especially against the run defense. I mean, he has Fletcher and Javon in the 4-eye tech spot on each side where they should be, where Milton Williams should be. It really sets things up so you don't have to slide some of those outside guys into inside spots. Brandon Graham can do it. Bigger guy, he can hold down and two gap, and he's done it before. So there isn't as much. They have better personnel in terms of that, Barrett. But as you said, yeah, there is more to do. I mean, like when you had Jim Schwartz's offense, it was for a lot of those guys up front, pin your ears back and go.
Yep.
Which they love.
Different. Yep.
Yeah, I mean they love to do.
Fletch hates two gapping.
No, Fletch does not like it. He was willing to come back. Certainly he had 12 million reasons for coming back. He would have gotten that on the open market, but he wants to retire here. It seems like, and he's obviously good enough still, I think, to make an impact up front.
Hey,
Jeff, what? Oh, go ahead, Derek.
Jeff, what is your most intriguing storyline for this camp in general?
I mean, Jalen Hurts is such an obvious one, so hopefully I can think of one off the top of my head that's more intriguing. Let me think. How about the offensive line? It's considered like the strength of the team, but they're older. Jason Kelsey's 34, 35. Lane's over 30. I know that they got Landon. Isaac's kind of getting up there, and you have Mailata. So you have two young guys, but you have some older guys that have battled some injuries. Kelsey though hasn't missed a game in 100 and whatever it is. That being said, there comes a point where, are you, on the upslope, or you're in the downslope? Are you still kind of treading in terms of your ability? And
all the times undefeated.
Right. As well as anyone, Barrett. Look, Jeff Stoutland's as good as they come coaching the offensive line. They've been able to mitigate all the injuries that they've had for the most part over the years. But and Howie, to his credit, has done a very good job of having depth there. They've already kind of thought about beyond Jason Kelsey by having Cam Jerkins in there. He was actually starting. Kelsey couldn't practice yesterday because he's coming back from COVID. So they have guys in place. You have Jack Driscoll, who you could slide into the starting spot. You have Andre Dillard, who is still in the team. Is still under. He's the backup left tackler. When he went in there last year, he wasn't horrible. I mean, was he great? No. So they have the depth there. But that being said, you want to rely on Andre Dillard for an extended period. It's Cam Jerkins if he has to get tossed in there. So I think that's something maybe I would watch. Maybe that wasn't the obvious one and the first thing that popped in my head. But, as the Eagles go, as the offensive line goes, a lot of times so go the Eagles.
Jeff, last one for me. What's your sense? Because I'm not sure a lot of people know a lot about Shane Steichen. We found that he took over the play calling. He's the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. But, what tendencies does he have? What does he like to do? Do you have a good sense for him?
I do a little bit. So Nick had kind of revealed even later last season about the switch. He kind of said it was more like, we're both doing it together. And then I found out in March that it was more significant than that. I mean, they basically gave Shane the play calling responsibilities, and that's something he had done before with the Chargers. Some may say not very well, even though Justin Herbert had a great rookie season. Some people felt like maybe some of his late game play calling wasn't that good, and maybe you held him back a little bit in terms of what Herbert could do, as we saw in his second season. But I think Shane's a little bit of a natural. Look, they wouldn't have people become play callers or this, that, or the other thing if it wasn't a big thing. I know Nick has kind of downplayed it a little bit, and I do think to some extent it's not that huge of a deal. It is Nick's offense. Nick is coming up with the game plan. They are talking throughout the entire game, but there is a skill set in terms of like being the guy. There's a rhythm you get into. There's they're seeing maybe things a step ahead of time. It is an ability, and I think Shane. I think from what I understand, look, he's a former quarterback.
Watch it. Yep.
He likes to throw it. They want to be a pass offense. Despite what people in this town still insist upon, look, you can win running the ball. Certainly, the Eagles turned the season around by realizing that was a strength that they needed to emphasize. But the Eagles don't want to be that offense because they know long term, if you want to be a sustainable playoff caliber team that can compete for championships, you got to throw the ball. You got to have an elite passer. Now, is Jalen going to be that guy? That whole argument comes into it. But getting back to Shane, I think Shane is a competent play caller. Certainly, when I asked him about it, and just to confirm it, when we asked him about it in May, he was like, "Oh yeah, he wants it out there."
Okay.
Shane wants to know, everyone know that he's doing it, and that certainly he wants to be a head coach at some point. So he'll do it again this season, and if things go very well, who knows what may happen. But that's the reason why you want your head coach to be the play caller a lot of times.
Yeah.
To me, that's the bigger question: is Nick giving it up? You lose. Let's say Shane's great. You lose him. All of a sudden, Nick can go back to doing it. But then maybe you have to find another guy. That's why Jeffrey Lurie, one of the reasons why he loves getting offensive play calling head coaches.
Let me ask you this. My last question: do they have enough at the running back position to sustain the entire year? I mean, we don't have any big backs going there on 3rd and 1, 4th and goal. Those type of situations. We know Sanders' health. Gainwell's a little dude. Scott's a little dude, and then we don't know what we're going to get from Brooks, from Kennedy Brooks or Jason Huntley.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to end up being those 3 guys on the roster. As you said, there's no bigger guy. Jordan Howard's gone. Who, when he ran last year, he ran well. Injuries have been an issue with him. Miles is a big guy. I mean, he's a bigger back. I mean, that kid is jacked. Yeah. Sometimes I think he doesn't use that, he doesn't finish as much as he probably could when he runs. We all know this is a big year for him. He's going into the last year of his rookie contract. He's got something to prove. He has said it so himself, also in terms of how his health was last year. Kenny Gainwell, they like him. I wonder, they're going to try and use him as an X factor guy in terms of the passing game. I wonder if they're going to push it too much. And is he that good of a runner? And Boston just keeps doing his thing. He's a guy that always feels underappreciated. I think he wanted to kind of maybe test to see what else he could get out there, and instead return to the Eagles at a contract that wasn't probably what he had liked. But he runs hard. I mean, I think they're fine in that running back crew.
I like it.
Yeah, it's not, again, it's not a super position of need around the NFL most times anymore, unless that's what you build. You have a guy that's special like Derrick Henry. But I think that's a good crew.
Hey, Jeff, do you think that Tart is an upgrade at safety?
Well, they didn't really have much there.
I know.
Yeah. There's a reason why he was available so late in the free agency. He's played and he's logged a lot of snaps. He played in a pretty good defense with the 49ers. I don't think it was more because of him than it was because of a lot of the other guys and the scheme that they had there. So it'll be interesting to see. So Anthony Harris didn't practice yesterday because he was coming back from COVID. So you had Kevon Wallace opposite Marcus Epps, and Wallace didn't look so great. So I don't think he's the answer if Tart isn't the answer. So it's probably I think it's going to be Epps, and they really like Epsy, and it's going to be Harris again. But is that strong enough? Is that a strong enough pair back there compared to what they've had previously with Jenkins and Rodney McLeod? So. That to me would be an area of weakness.
Jeff, we appreciate it, man. What's the next story for folks to be looking out for, both at Inquirer.com and at Jeff_McLean on Twitter?
I don't know. You tell me. I mean, I'll be at practice doing my observations every day, and we'll see.
Barrett's going to be there. You can do a full-length Barrett piece tomorrow. He's going to be there in person.
I'm not going as media though. I'm going as an alumni player, so I'll be on the field this time, man. So
there you go.
I got it, man.
Hey Jeff, get Barrett to tell you off record some of the scuttlebutt he's hearing on the field. That's
yes. There's your source, Jeff. You get a killer source.
Yeah. We probably talked to some of the same guys.
Jeff, we appreciate it. Thanks for all your time today, man.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you.
Talk to you soon. Continued success. Thank you. That's Jeff McClain from the Philadelphia
Great
All right,
dude,
guys.
man. Great dude, man.
Yeah, he's the best. He is a reporter in every sense of the word. He will go after people. He's not afraid. He exposes things, and just does a really good job covering the team. That's for sure. All right, a little later in the show, guys, we're going to run through both the AFC and the NFC. Who comes out of those conferences? Who will be the champion of both conferences? Who are the surprise teams? Who are the teams that are going to disappoint in each conference as well? We will do that coming up. We get back. Little Phillies big win yesterday to get back on track for the Phils. They're in Pittsburgh tonight. We'll talk about that when we return. He is Derek Gunn. He is Barrett Brooks. I am Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, time to talk about Razor technology because data is everywhere in business today. But when it's locked away in silos, it can't be efficiently used, and businesses don't have time to wait for the insights that shape decision-making. Razor Technologies data management not only integrates data from wherever it's generated or collected, but provides a uniform structure for storing, interpreting, and distributing it to decision makers. Razor helps businesses transform and model their data, use it to populate real-time dashboards, and create shareable reports that highlight key areas of progress as well as warning signs in need of attention. Smart data analytics and the tools to make data insights easily digestible help businesses of all sizes and types discover where they could be untapping significant savings. Razor Technology can help you break down your silos and fully realize the value of your data to drive growth for your business. Learn more. Contact Razor Tech today at 866-797-3282, 866-797-3282, or visit us online at razor-tech.com. That's razor-tech.com.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community. A sports roundup for the locals. And the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Welcome back in, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us on this Thursday. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Barrett Brooks, D-Gun, Rob Ellis hanging with you. We just wrapped things up with Jeff McClain. You can check out Jeff's interview in its entirety, JAKIBsports.com or JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Check it out, either one of those places. Same with all of our interviews that we do each and every day. All right, so guys, we will get back to football in a second, but Phillies win yesterday over the Braves, afternoon game, 7-2. Big game because they took the series. They played very poorly the night before, but it was a really nice bounce back for them. And like I said, they take the series against Atlanta, a team that's been red hot. They're now 51-47 on the season, are the Phillies, basically neck and neck right there with the Cardinals for that last playoff spot, for the third wild card spot. But got a real good game out of Kyle Gibson, who goes 6 innings, just allowed 2 runs. But the real stories that are emerging here, especially in the absence of Harper and Segura, which Segura looks like he's going to be real close to coming back. Alec Boehm and JT Realmuto have really stepped up their game. Boehm's got a 12-game hitting streak. He's hitting 21 of 22. And in the month, if you go back to since July 24th, so even beyond the month of July, June 24th, I mean, even if take it beyond July, he's hitting 420. And Realmuto this month, 339. These are two guys who have really, really stepped up here.
Well, I'll take it a step further. If you look at Realmuto, he has a 9-game hitting streak, and over the 9-game hitting streak, he's hitting 438. So the guy that wasn't giving production early on, all of a sudden is waking up now. And the kids, we keep talking about the kids, Boehm, all these guys, they're still producing. I think it came down to they were sleepwalking through their series coming out of the All-Star break against the Cubs, and they got caught. Yeah. And the Cubs caught them, And then they come back in a meaningful series like the Atlanta Braves. And we talked about how, man, hopefully the Braves don't come in here and sweep this team. And that would be detrimental, And it was a great comeback in their first game. The Braves had them dead to rights in that first game. And all of a sudden, who was it? Stott that carried him, had 5 RBI in that game. Hit a 3-run homer to seal the deal for him. They let one slip away the next night. And they came back big time yesterday against one of the hottest teams in the majors, and a team that is the defending champion, and a team that's right there on the tail of Bird Dog and the Mets for the division lead. So that was huge for them. Now they move on and take on a Pittsburgh team over 4 games, which is the equivalent of the Cubs, basically, if you look at it. So they should get. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in control of that third wild card spot again after coming out of this series with the Pirates. But then again, we say that, and you know what they say, you play sometimes to the level of your competition. I don't want to see them coming out of there losing 3 out of 4 to a team like Pittsburgh.
Derek, if there's anything good that comes out of that Cubs series, maybe it wakes you up for this Pittsburgh series.
Exactly.
Right? That you took them too lightly, and you don't do it again against this. Yeah, Pittsburgh's 18 games under 500. Exactly. I mean, this is a team that you got to take 3 out of 4. And the good thing is you got Wheeler on the mound tonight to start it off.
It's belief, man. Right now, this belief that they don't have Segura, they don't have, Harper. Mr. All-World Harper, and they're still winning games. They're still in the hunt. They're still right there at the cusp of being that third team. So, I mean, this is a learning process. You have to learn to win. I know, playing with the Steelers, we had to learn to win. You have to be confident going in and knowing you can do it. So this is exactly what they need to be doing heading into August. Knowing that, the troops will be replenished in about 3 more weeks going into August. This could be good for this team. You know what I'm saying? They learned some stuff. They got better as an offensive unit. Defensively, they have gotten better, man. They're not, sleepwalking out there. So, I mean, I think this bodes well for them, I mean, this is one of the true unique opportunities where this team is going to take advantage of it, keep learning how to win, and be kind of an outlier going into this next game. Nobody's counting them in. They're right at the edge right now, with everybody right at the edge looking in, and they're ready to pounce.
I'll tell you what else. We probably don't. I mean, look, Boehm and Realmuto, they deserve their praise for sure. What we don't even talk about anymore is the bullpen.
Yep.
The bullpen's become really dependable, man. I mean, it's like, think about how much angst there was early in the season with this bullpen, the last 3-4 years with this bullpen. I actually, when the Phillies have a 1 or 2 run lead, I'm not sweating bullets when these guys come in anymore like I used to.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I mean, you held the Braves to 5 hits. You held that Braves lineup to 5 hits yesterday. They gave up 1 home run, but that's what the Braves do. They lead the National League by a wide margin in home runs. And I think the Braves only hit, 2 home runs in the whole series against this team?
Yeah.
I think you've done your job. Once you get beyond the starters, you've done your job. If you can hold this lineup, keep them in the park, and keep yourself in a game, they've come through big time. And, and we all believe that they're going to make a move somehow before the trade deadline and get another pitcher in there, and that's fine. But you're right, Rob. You couldn't have said it any better. I don't have as big a concern now when these guys come to the Hills as I did back in May and early June. For whatever reason, they've settled in. I mean, you got these guys coming out the bullpen, 97, 98. I mean, they're dealing it. We always talk about everybody else's pitching staff, but sometimes we overlook what we have here right now.
Yeah, I think, some of it was just figuring roles out. They moved Knebel out of that closer spot, which was big, get him out of high leverage situations. Sir Anthony's getting healthier and healthier and stronger and stronger. And, Brogdon coming back from COVID and Hand. You got a really nice situation in the back end of this bullpen right now. So I give them props, man. I did not think we'd be sitting here almost in August and I'd be saying one of the strengths of this team is the bullpen. I didn't think I'd be saying that. So that's huge, man. So
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Go ahead, Barry.
I was going to say, let's hope that the Cardinals don't win the Soto sweepstakes also.
Oh, man, that's a great point. So, so what Barrett's referencing is the Juan Soto. I think people automatically thought, he's going to the Yankees or he's going to go to the Mets or the Dodgers. Well, St. Louis has emerged as maybe the biggest candidate here on a couple of levels. They have a great farm system. They always do. They always seem to bring guys up who can play, which means, that's what Washington wants. And if you could throw prospects at them and you could afford to take that money on, you're right, Barrett. I think it's only a matter of time. Does it happen this year or does it happen in the offseason is really what it amounts to. But if St. Louis adds him, that's a problem for the Phillies. That is a big problem for the Phillies. That's for sure. And that's, like you said, you bring it up for great reason. I think St. Louis, they beat Toronto last night. I think it was.
Yep.
Where they are right now in the wild card, St. Louis is a half game up. Phillies would hold the tiebreaker though if this thing ends in a tie with those two. So just keep that in mind because that could be key here with the way this works. Yeah, the other thing with the Phillies, it's interesting, guys. They're 13-18 since June 1st. Basically, that's one game of Girardi, and the rest is all Rob Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done that without a lot of Harper.
That's right.
And a lot of Segura and some Ranger Suarez. Like, that's a damn good job by this team to be 12 games over 500.
So you're finally getting on the D-gun boat. You knew it was coming.
I was waiting.
You knew it was coming.
I know.
What have I been telling you since July 1st, Rob?
Yeah.
Just hold on, baby. Hold on.
I'm a maniac. I know I'm all over the place. Like, I know. Where I will really give him credit is, honestly, like, series like yesterday, they lose game 3 if it's last year or it's still Girardi. They don't bounce back. This team has heart, man. Like they do show fight, and I that's what I give them more than anything else. And I think that's what you attribute Rob Thompson for.
You just know that they're never all the way out of it, man.
No,
you go into the 9th, it could be the bottom of the 9th, and they could be down 5 runs.
Yeah.
I always feel now that I got a sense of hope going into it, man. Whether it's at the top of the lineup or the bottom of the lineup, all those guys, seem to, give a spark when they need it, man.
Mm-hmm. Here's the beauty of this way they're playing is we expect Schwarber to do what he does, but every night it's somebody different when they have success. It's a it's a Stott, It's gregarious, it's not just the big boppers, the big money guys. These guys in the back end are stepping up, man, and they're contributing in big ways for this team.
Yeah.
It may not be consistent, but it's when they need it the most. And that's what I love about this team, because you're right. Sometimes you sit there going, this team's dead to rights. Prime example, first game against the Braves. This team's dead to rights. And all of a sudden, boom, out of nowhere, when you think the game is over, Stott launches one, and then it's Vierling going 3 for 4.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how this thing is coming together. We're not sitting here talking about this team as one of the real heavyweights in the National League when you compare them to Atlanta, the Mets, the Dodgers. But they've already showed you they can play with the Mets, Atlanta, and the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing considering that their big bopper's not there, Segura's not there. They're still right there. right there on the cusp. You know, this team could be 10 games under 500 easily.
Yeah, you're right, Derek. You're right. And here's the other thing. When you get Segura and Harper back, the experience that these guys have had in big spots is just going to pay huge dividends. I look at it too. When Segura comes back, he can play second base. I move Stott to shortstop. He becomes my full-time shortstop.
Wow.
And you're cooking, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have Bohm, who's red hot at third, Stott, who's done a really nice job at short, Segura, who's maybe just a true professional hitter at second base. Eventually, you get Harper back. Hopefully, Schwarber starts going back up, climbing back up the mountain again.
Yep.
And Hoskins. Maybe it's and Hoskins, right, because he's a streaky guy right now. He's a little cold. He gets going, and look, at this point, I don't know about Castellanos. I don't know if he finds it. He's so lost right now.
Maybe he gets jealous. Oh, here come the heavy hitters. I better get out there.
Yeah, but he had a hit last night. The other night he had 2 hits. You know, he's coming on a little bit. You know, he's starting to hear the noise. He's starting to come on a little bit. I don't think you're going to see anything close to the numbers they had in Cincinnati before he got here. But he's starting to come on now.
Yeah, I'm with you. Hey, did you guys, just staying on the baseball theme for a minute, this Mike Trout story is really weird. Have you guys dug into this? So the Angels trainer basically, first of all, I don't know why the trainer's giving this much information out, but anyway, he basically comes out and talks about how Trout's got this rare back condition.
Yeah,
right.
And he almost intimated, we're going to have to be real careful with him, going forward, and it may affect his career. And you could kind of tell Trout when I think he met with the media yesterday, was sort of like, relax. Like, I don't know what he's saying here, but it's all right. Like, everything's good. I just need to stay on top of it. Like, you could tell he was kind of pissed off about the way
there needs to be a closed door discussion real quick between the manager, the player, and the trainer in terms of what should be said and what should not be said.
I'll tell you how that conversation is going to go. Hey, you're fired.
Yeah, or it's going to be, I better never hear that again from you, or else bye-bye. Because that's not the guy you want to be. Trout's not that guy.
The message. No.
That was strange, man. I know we get angry at organizations because they don't give us enough information, but that was one where Trout said I forget, this all went down, and I think he woke up the next morning and had all these tweets from people like, sorry about your career. Like his career was over.
Right.
He was kind of like, what? Like, what is this all about?
I heard on radio. I'm glad we didn't trade Harper. We weren't thinking about trading Harper for him. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, it was a little bit.
Yeah, there was that. Yeah, there was that. Yeah. So that's
wow.
That's going to be one to monitor, man. I always, when I hear back, I do always get worried about guys and what that means. But Trout's stance was pretty strong. I don't know if that was just him trying to go so far the other way that people ignore it. But yeah, I thought that one was kind of strange. Anyway, so let me give you the Phillies and what they have coming up. So I mentioned they play 4 at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is 18 games under 500 guys going into this game. So after that, again, they should take 3 or 4 at least, but then they go to Atlanta for 2, which is, obviously a very important series. They're 5-5 against the Braves this year.
Yep.
Then they get Washington, who's a bad team, who probably at that point, because the trade deadline's August 2nd, they'll start playing Washington on the 4th. They will have maybe gutted their team, including Barrett, Juan Soto, potentially. So, that sets up pretty nicely for the Phillies in that case. Then you get Miami, who has always been tough for the Phillies, but it's home, and they just lost that kid Max Meyer, who might have to get Tommy John surgery.
And they've already handled Miami once this year.
Yeah, so they took care of them the last time they played them. So that's good for the Phillies. Then a real big one here, they get the Mets at New York for 3, August 12th. So that's basically what they have coming up.
I'm looking forward to seeing that series. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, that one's going to be fun.
I'll tell you what, the Mets were impressive to me, man, this week, taking the Subway Series from the Yankees.
Yeah.
Not once. They beat them both games.
I'll tell you what, man. I know he's a Met. I love watching Scherzer. That dude is laser focused. He is. Barrett, he's got like a football player's mentality.
Right.
Man.
You talk about a guy who uses corner to corner on the plates as well as anybody in Major League pitching right now. I just sit there. I don't care if it's a breaking pitch, fastball, nothing. Very little is down the middle of the plate with this guy. Mm-hmm. He knows how to work the umpires, and I do believe the umpires give him a little bit more leeway because of who he is.
Well deserved.
My goodness, he is phenomenal in terms of working the plate and working hitters.
You know what? Honestly, man, it should be that way. Like if you're a guy who's typically around the plate a lot, and I think it hurts guys who are all over the place, and also guys who take forever, who are just these deliberate pitchers. I'm telling you, man, I think it's unconsciously, but I think it hurts them with umpires. If you work quick and you're around the plate, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt.
Yep.
There's no
you get a sense that they know what they're doing.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get a sense that they're not there to play around. They're not doing all the gimmicky stuff, winding up and,
the double leg kick. Yeah.
Yeah, come on, man.
I think you're exactly right.
Let's
So Wheeler goes tonight. You got to love that from a Phillies perspective. And you just look at what he's done on the season. And again, sometimes you got to throw the record out. You certainly do that with Nola. But you look at what Wheeler's been for them this year and what he's been his whole Phillies career. He's 8-5 with a 2.78 ERA, 106 innings pitched. And that's after missing a couple starts early. But 114 strikeouts to 22 walks. So, you feel good about Wheeler going against this Pittsburgh team, who actually has some nice young talent.
Yeah, they do.
But they're going to keep one name to watch tonight. If you guys are watching the game and everybody who's listening, everybody who's streaming in the chat section, O'Neal Cruz.
Yes.
For the Pirates.
Yes.
This dude is 6'7" and he plays shortstop.
It's crazy.
What?
And can run.
And can run. Yeah. Like crazy athletic. If you just saw him and you were like from a distance, you think that dude's like 6 foot, maybe 6'1", the way he moves.
Right.
He's built like a basketball player, and he is a monster. Okay. O'Neal Cruz. Just watch out for this guy. Pittsburgh's got some nice young talent. They're not good. Okay. But they've got some pieces to build on. And I think, depending on who they end up moving here, if they can bring some pieces back. Another one to watch, Brian Hayes. Is a guy who was Charlie Hayes' son. Charlie Hayes played for the Phillies for a lot of years, but he's an interesting guy to watch too. Brian Hayes. He's I think going to be another one who's a really good player. He's at third base and number 13. So O'Neal Cruz and Brian Hayes are two guys to look at. In the series coming up. All right, so we come back, guys. We will turn our sights back to football. We'll do a little NFL dig. What we're going to do is. Who wins the AFC? Who wins the NFC? Who's the surprise team in the AFC? Who's the surprise team in the NFC? We'll see where the Eagles fall in there. Get into some of the other stuff that's going on. By the way, we have a preseason game coming up August 4th.
What?
August 4th.
The Hall of Fame game?
Yes, we it is
Thursday.
It is a week. It's a week away, man.
Yeah.
It's the Jags and the Raiders. So
remember when the Hall of Fame game was always on a Sunday? Now they've moved it to what, Thursday?
Thursday now. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and
let me guess, who's carrying the game? Is it Prime carrying the game?
Oh, it's a good question. I don't know. You know what? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know who's carrying.
I wouldn't be surprised one bit. Either
That's
NFL
crazy,
Network or Prime.
Well, I got my first game for college football.
NBC, Derek. I just saw
good.
Yeah.
I got my first college football game for this year. It's,
yeah?
When's yours?
November 3rd.
Who is it?
Wait,
not November 3rd. September 3rd.
Oh, I was going to say, what?
September 3rd. It's BYU at what is it? UFC.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you could be looking at some future Eagles then.
Yeah. So we'll see. You know what I'm saying?
It's exciting.
It's going to be at Tampa Stadium. So
that's good. That's good for you. It's not a bad flight either. That's not bad.
No, right down to Tampa. You know what I'm saying?
Make sure you go to Burns Steakhouse.
Oh yeah,
Burns Steakhouse.
Go to Burns Steakhouse,
is legit,
baby.
Man. Burns.
Oh yes,
is legit.
In Tampa, one of the best steakhouses in America.
Absolutely.
Oh, you mean don't go to
go to Island Way. Go out to Clearwater and hit Island Way.
Mons Venus. Is that where you were going, Barrett?
I
know where.
What do you know about that?
I mean, I've been told by people that's a good place.
Great steaks. That's great steaks.
Yes, it's a good steakhouse, as Hugh Douglas would say. It's a great steakhouse. Yes, my sources told me that, Derek. I don't know what those kind of.
I don't even know you guys anymore.
No, that's what my sources told me. So we'll come back, dive back into football. Don't go anywhere. Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community. A sports roundup for the locals. And the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Number 3, time flies when you're having fun. Welcome back in, everybody. Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. D-Gun, B. Brooks, R. Ellis. We're talking some football, guys, and looking at sort of the big picture here with both conferences, AFC and NFC. Let's start with the AFC and which teams are going to emerge, because this is the juggernaut of a conference, man. There is no two ways about it. It is not going to be easy. It is. There are a lot of talented teams. I mean, you just start, if you just go east to west, you got Buffalo, you got the Patriots, you got Cincinnati, you got Baltimore, you got Tennessee, you got Indianapolis, and you got everybody in the West. And I'm not even including Miami and potentially Cleveland, depending on what happens. The Steelers, don't write them off for sure, but Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos. I mean, all of those teams, man, this is as stacked as I can remember a conference being.
It's crazy.
Who comes out, man? Who's the last man standing here and the representative of the AFC in the Super Bowl? Who is it, Barry?
You know what's crazy? You know, when you look at this, man, they were the better conference last year also, but they just lost to an NFC team.
Yeah.
But you look at it, man, I like the Bills, and like I said, my sleeper team are the Raiders. And they make it to the AFC Championship game, and I think it's the Raiders and the Bills. The Bills.
That's an interesting matchup. Yeah, I like that matchup.
And the Bills will win. You know, I think the Bills have too much for this Raiders team, but I think the Raiders win the. I think they win the West.
Ooh.
That would be a hell of an accomplishment. I mean, for them to win the West and get to a conference final game. You know, you consider a lot of everything that went down last year. Gruden gets fired. They have a lot of stuff off the field, a lot of tragic stuff off the field.
Right.
You know, Mayock gets bounced in the offseason. They bring in a new coach. They bring in a new general manager. They bring in Devontae Adams. Like, the Raiders have had a tumultuous, year. But there is a ton of talent there, man. You start going through that roster. There is some big-time talent.
That's on the defensive side of the ball, man.
Oh, they are scary on that side of the ball. They really are. I mean, they're going to be fun to watch, that Raiders team. So Barrett goes Raiders, Bills. I would dig that as an AFC conference final.
The contrast in style of play would be electrifying to see a game like that. The wealth of talent on the field for both the teams would be incredible to see. But I still say that Kansas City is king of the hill, even without Tyreek Hill in that conference. Patrick Mahomes, to me, is Houdini. He will find a way to win games. The defense will give up 26, 27 points, and that Kansas City team will still accidentally score 30, 35 points a game.
Accidentally.
I'm telling you, they will accidentally score 30, 35 points a game. And I go back to that AFC Championship game between Kansas City and Buffalo last year. That was one of the best games I've seen played that ended in overtime.
Oh,
the way they scored the last 2 minutes, just think about the last 2 minutes of the game alone.
Yeah.
Buffalo scores a touchdown with 106 left in the game.
And it was an incredible drive.
Oh my goodness.
4th down conversions, yes.
Here's what got to me. Now, Buffalo took a 32-29 lead with 13 seconds left in the game. 13 seconds.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes takes the team downfield and gets them into field goal range in less than 13 seconds.
Yeah.
And they tie the game, and then they win it in overtime with a touchdown pass. That Kansas City team, they'll frustrate you on defense. They leave you wild on offense.
Mm-hmm.
So my two teams that get to the conference finals will be Buffalo and Kansas City.
Okay.
I'm looking at Buffalo's schedule. You talk about a murderer's row for a schedule, and rightfully so, considering their record. They open up against the Rams. The next week is Tennessee. The next week is Miami. The next week is Baltimore. Next week is Pittsburgh. Next week is Kansas City. The week after that is Green Bay.
Wow, man.
Then you look down their schedule further. They have Minnesota, followed by Cleveland. Then they get Detroit. Then they go New England. And then to close out their season, 3 of their last 4 games of the year. Here's Buffalo's schedule. They have Miami at home on December 18th. Then they get Chicago. That's a win. Their last 2 games of the year are against Cincinnati and New England.
That's a brutal schedule.
That is as brutal of a schedule as it could get, but I think Sean McDermott's team is built to withstand the rigors of what's to come. Now, I can't see a more murderer's row of a schedule in the NFL than what Buffalo has to face this year.
No, I can't. Until you just pointed out, I didn't know it was that rough.
It's brutal,
man.
But I still, even with that said, I still expect Buffalo to emerge as the representative in the Super Bowl for the AFC.
I think losing games like that Chiefs game last year sends you one of 2 ways as an organization. It either just buries you and you don't recover from it, or right. I think you go the other way. And I think with a coach like that and the personnel that they have, I feel like it's going to be one of those games where they look back and they say that spurred us to be better. Like that made us better as a team. We're going to tighten everything up and little things aren't going to happen. And I truly believe that Buffalo will get better. What's up, Barrett?
Jay Crouch. I mean, hold on, man. Calm down, bro.
Who?
Calm down. Jay Crouch. He's pissed. He wants aggressive defense, man.
He's talking about the Eagles?
Whose defense is he talking? Oh, the Eagles?
Yeah, the Eagles defense.
It's only July, man.
My God, man. Was he not happy with practice yesterday?
I don't know.
Too many touchdowns from Hurts?
Let's at least see a game.
Yeah,
wait till the first game, man.
Oh my God.
Man.
Yeah, but I really, what's going to be fascinating to me, and I believe this, like, I think Mahomes and Andy and Kelsey, everybody else there, wants to show that, like, they can still light the scoreboard up like a pinball machine, even without Tyreek Hill. I do believe that. So I don't think there's going to be this huge fall off. I know Tyreek was that guy who could bail you out, in the drop of a hat, but I think there's still going to be a formidable offense, man. There, top 3 scoring offense.
They brought in Juju Smith-Schuster,
who says he was hurt last year. Did you see that yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
He was pretty emphatic about it, but anyway.
He kept it quiet during the season, but he talked about it openly. They brought in Marcus Valdez-Scantling from Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't like that move. You don't like him, huh?
Who?
Valdez-Scantling.
He was okay. I don't think he ever lived up to what he was supposed to be in Green Bay. But who knows? In this Eric Bieniemy offense, who knows what he could be in this offense with Patrick Mahomes?
Right.
The way they draw plays in the huddle and in the dirt,
Yeah,
they don't have a playbook. They just drop it. I mean, how many times have we heard Travis Kelce tell us, "Oh yeah, we just ran that play yesterday in a walkthrough"? What? In a walkthrough?
Right.
And score a touchdown.
I love that, man. I love it.
Only thing is they don't have Orlando Brown in camp. He's still out of camp.
That's a little worrisome. Yeah. I mean, but Barrett, there's so much money to lose with holdouts now. I mean, can he really keep this up?
Well, he never signed his tender.
Oh,
so
he didn't sign the tender, so
yeah.
There's no fine. You're right.
Yeah, so there's no fine right now because he never signed his tender.
Okay, that's gonna be interesting. That's a if he doesn't come back, that's a big one. That you're
huge.
Right. That is a big one for sure. Look, I hate to, Derek, I'm gonna go with the same two teams. For a lot of the reasons you just laid out. So I'm not trying. I could very easily sit here and be a contrarian and throw something out there, but I believe the Bills are at the point now where it's time. And if they don't do it this year, you keep getting right near that cusp, but you don't get over the hump, man. And sometimes you just never recover. So I think this is their year. And like I said, I think the Chiefs are going to be on a bit of a mission. They're angry at the way it went last year, the way Cincinnati knocked them off. You remember that game too, man?
Oh,
great game.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
we had some great AFC playoffs.
Bro, wasn't that was by far the best playoff football I've ever seen in my life.
I agree. I agree.
I mean, even when I was playing, I never saw playoff football like that. I mean, if you look, Joe Burrow's got his head kicked in and was still throwing darts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean,
there's one Barrett. He rolls to his left, and he gets killed as he releases it, and still makes it. It was a huge completion. I think to pick up a first. I'm like, whoa, man. I admire him, but I don't. Can the body hold up if they don't protect him better, man?
Well, that's why they invested. They went out and got Alex Kappa from Tampa Bay. They went out and got La'el Collins from Dallas.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's what what does NFI mean? I see a lot of stuff on the backside of their names, NFI. I don't know what that means.
I'm not sure.
Let me look it up.
I'm not sure about that one. But the fact that Burrow got his head kicked in the week before and was sacked 10 times.
Yeah.
And you're thinking this dude's going to be gunshot coming out against Kansas City. And I believe Kansas City only got to him, 2 or 3 times the whole game?
Is that all it was? He got hit a lot, but maybe,
if memory serves me correct.
Okay.
See if we can pull that up and see how many times did Kansas City put him on the dirt. Let's see here. 2021, okay. Against Cincinnati. Bengals won that game in overtime 27-24.
Right.
Okay. And
that's deadly, man. It says after 6 weeks, a player can begin practicing with their team, but cannot be moved to the active roster until after the team has played its first 8 games of the season.
What?
Is it a non-football injury? That's what a lot of people in the
is that what it is?
Chat are saying. I don't know. I don't know what
non-football injury
it was in reference to. So is that Orlando Brown's out with a non-football injury?
No, I'm talking about La'el Collins is.
La'el Collins. Okay.
Yeah.
It says here Kansas City only sacked him 1 time in that championship game. So he went from 10 sacks to 1.
He got hit a lot though, dude.
Oh, he got crushed.
And he threw for he didn't have a great day. He was 23 of 38 for 250, 2 touchdowns, one pick.
Okay.
But he was only sacked 1 time. But his running game had 116 yards running the ball, and T. Higgins of all players was the leading receiver with 6 catches for a buck.
I'm a big fan of T. Higgins, man.
I am also.
He obviously he's not Jamar Chase, so he's not going to get that kind of shine. But he's really good, man. He's really good.
Jamar Chase was just ridiculous, man.
Insane. Like how quickly those two, he and Burrow, like I know they played great at LSU, but I mean to just like raise their game even more at the NFL level that quick is amazing. When you think about it. All right, let's jump over to the NFC now. So you look at the NFC, and
obviously, you didn't do your surprise team in AFC? Or are you gonna save that?
We're gonna save it. We'll do the surprises in a second.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So NFC, it doesn't stack up obviously, but it doesn't mean there aren't talented teams. Tampa is going to be interesting. If you're just tuning in, Ryan Jensen, their center, left practice today, and it looked pretty serious on a cart with a knee injury.
Yeah.
That's a 13-win team that's now lost 3 pieces from their offensive line with a 45-year-old quarterback. So, keep that in mind. You have the Rams, who won the whole thing. You have a Cardinal team, and in a minute, we're going to get into some of the things that Kyler Murray fired back today, guys. So we'll let you say.
That
was an 11-win Arizona team. San Francisco is interesting too. They've turned the reins over to Trey Lance. We don't know what that's exactly going to look like. Green Bay, Rodgers still there, 13-win team, but no Devontae Adams. Dallas 112. You have an Eagles team. So I'll start with you, Barrett, on this one. NFC. How do you look at this one to be shaking out?
Well, of course, the Rams have invested a lot of money in their roster and said, damn these draft picks, we're going to win now. So, of course, I have them in the NFC Championship game. But a lot of people are saying that they're going to go with Tampa Bay. I can't see Tampa Bay being there. It's going to be tough for Green Bay also. Consider the fact they lost their two of their primary receivers. Defensively, they did get better by going out and get the two kids from Georgia. Mm-hmm. But man, it's so up in the air, man. You got teams that are right on the cusp of being great. So, but I mean, I'm gonna go with those two teams though. I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay, and I'll go with the Rams.
Tampa and the Rams.
Yeah, okay. And eventually I'm gonna go with the Rams winning it and getting
Rams go back. Okay, yeah. Rams go back. All right, Derek.
I can't believe this because I got the exact two same teams. I had Tampa Bay going to the Super Bowl.
You're finally right, man.
I just set you up for that one, didn't I? I just walked right into that one. I think Julio Jones going to play with the GOAT is going to rejuvenate him. Everybody said Julio's on his last leg. But I think Julio is going to be rejuvenated down there with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Cameron Brates and all these guys.
Playing with the GOAT. I mean,
are you kidding me?
Have you seen him? By the way, he's wearing 85. He looks like a tight end on crack. He's just gigantic.
I don't care if Tom Brady was playing behind 5 scrub offensive linemen. Tom Brady's going to throw for 5,000 yards. Mm-hmm. It's just his game. That's just the way he plays it. Tom Brady's always 1 or 2 in passing yards for the last how many years? Because that's just what he does.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to will that team to get to the conference championship game. Again, like Buffalo, I look at the Rams, and the Rams obviously because they won a Super Bowl have a much more difficult schedule. They open up obviously against Buffalo. Then down they got San Francisco, Dallas. Then they got San Francisco again. Then they play Tampa. Then they play Arizona. Then they play New Orleans. Then they play Kansas City. And then they have a 4-game stretch before they get to the last game of the season, which is at Seattle. The 4 games before that, Vegas, Green Bay, Denver, Chargers.
Oh my God.
But here's a team, as Barrett just talked about. I hate to give Barrett credit, because that's just a relationship Barrett and I have.
2:17 Eastern time,
right?
July 28, 2022.
Hey, that's just a relationship Barrett and I have, and it will never change.
Okay.
I think we agree on that.
I like to mark it and duly noted. All right.
But because the Rams brought back most of their pieces, adding Allen Robinson, adding Bobby Wagner to the equation, I think it makes them just as strong as they did a year ago. You got the number 1 receiver, Cooper Kupp. You got 2 good running backs, good offensive line. Their front 7 is lights out. They get after the quarterback. Jalen Ramsey on the back end. I think that says enough in itself. Yeah. I just think the Rams are going back. So I think it's going to be Buffalo. It's going to be Buffalo against the Rams in the Super Bowl.
Ooh, okay.
That would be a shootout.
No question. But look at this though. GJ Bennett's got a point.
Yeah.
Just looking at the NFC, man, you cannot count the Eagles out in that whole mix.
No, you cannot. You cannot.
You cannot count them out. They're going to be in. They're going to be in the playoffs. Yeah. And they might play the game before the NFC championship game.
It's true.
And it's a flippable coin, man. Will they learn from what they, them getting their butts kicked against the Bucs? Yeah. Will that defense be a lot better? Yeah. That offense gonna be a lot better. Not so predictable. Let's hope so. They may have a shot, man.
I think there's a lot of talent. I think there's a lot of talent, man. I started running through their roster and comparing it to some other teams. I don't mean like the Rams and some of these teams, but like the NFC is good, not great. And the Eagles have a lot of talent. Like when I was doing this, it got me to look at these other rosters. Like I cut to the chase. I have the Rams and the Packers. I think Rodgers is going to be on a mission to show everybody it's not just Devontae Adams, kind of one of those Tyreek Hill situations. Big time. Okay, he's just wacky enough. Con Air man.
He's probably pissed off too. He's probably pissed off.
Yeah, I agree. He's always
but this
pissed
time he can't be. This time he can't be pissed at the organization.
No, he's being
This was
paid
a Devontae
insane.
Adams decision because Green Bay offered Devontae the same money he got from the Raiders.
Do you get a sense, Derek? Obviously, you follow closely. That Devontae kind of had enough of Aaron's drama queen stuff. I know he loves him as a quarterback, but do you think he wanted out?
I think he wanted out because he gets to go back home to Vegas. Number one, he gets to play with his college teammate Derek Carr. Number two, and let's face it, he's in Vegas. Who are you gonna pick, Vegas or Green Bay?
Yeah,
which one are you gonna pick?
Warm
weather.
Bro, I played in Green Bay. Green Bay is not meant for humans to live, bro.
No, I'm telling you, man. You talk about cold,
Bay, bro. It's a different kind of cold out there, bro.
Yeah, I'm from Wisconsin, man. I'm never going back to live in Wisconsin,
bro. The coldest game I ever played in was in Green Bay. It was a Monday night game. I think it was Minnesota, and I can remember going out on the field at the beginning of the game at 8:00, and it was 7 degrees.
Oh.
We went in at halftime, came back out. It was minus 12.
Oh.
It was so cold, I put on sleeves. And when I went out on the field, I looked over, and my Coach Beckel, he was so pissed off I had sleeves. He told the trainers, get over there and cut those sleeves off him.
Really?
And he cut my sleeves off. So I told him, I was like, yo, man, will you take that big coat off?
Yeah, right. You go out here in short sleeves. Yeah.
Right. And I wasn't playing that much either, man. I was just playing on special teams, and every once in a while I go in the goal line tight end. Like, bro, I froze my nuts off.
You know what I love about seeing a game when Green Bay's playing in late December or January is that when they show the pregame warm-ups, when the broadcast comes on, you always see the offensive lineman walking out there in like the tank top T-shirts and nothing else on.
Yep.
No sleeves, nothing. It is minus 12 in Green Bay today, and these dudes come strolling out on the field. That's mental preparation, right, Barry?
That's intimidation.
Yeah.
But nobody really realized, and I didn't know until I started playing, until I played for Green Bay Packers. If there's one snowflake that falls from the sky, call it up, we're going to the indoor. If it rains, we're in the indoor. Yeah. Brett Favre did not play. If there was any precipitation anywhere or it was too cold, we went to the indoor.
No
but
kidding.
Game day, he didn't, you were out there, man. But I'm telling you, bro, they didn't play. I mean, it could be one raindrop or one snowflake. They were not playing out. We were not practicing outside, bro. Damnest thing I've ever seen in my life. I thought it was the side advantage. When I was in Detroit, it was over a foot of snow. We're out there trying to practice in, and we didn't get nothing accomplished. And here it is in Green Bay. If even one snowflake comes down, they go to the indoor. That's crazy.
As much as I love Devontae Adams, there's a part of me that's glad that he's gone, because you guys have heard me talk about that. It used to drive me nuts. There were times when I thought Aaron Rodgers honed in on Devontae too much and didn't throw the ball where he should have.
You said that before.
Yeah, and now I know we talked about what he did against Arizona. We kept saying it's only one game, but what he did against Arizona with receivers 4, 5, and 6, because receivers 1, 2, and 3 were not available for that game. To me, that was a small snippet of what we're going to see now. Defenses can't hone in on just one. I mean, you're relying on Alan Lazard, who's 6'5" and can go flat out go. You got this rookie Christian Watkins, who's 6'5", who runs a 4.3. He's got a safety valve there in Randall Cobb. People are not even talking about he's got this kid as a speedster they drafted a couple of years ago named Amari Rodgers, who couldn't get on the field because of all the other players ahead of him. Right. He's got 2 or 3 good tight ends. If they hold up, this Robert Tonyan, I believe he had double digits.
He's really good. He got hurt last year.
He did. That killed
it.
it, tight end.
He's
play.
A deep field threat, too. He gets down the field, too.
Yeah, no question. And you still got a tight end who's like 37 years old who's still playing. Who's still a safety valve for that team. Yeah. I love their running back situation with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. That 1-2 combination.
It's gonna be Dillon's breakout year too.
Yeah, keep Dillon away from the mascots, though, man. He will plow their rear ends right over. Man.
Oh my goodness. He bowled. It was intriguing that he came out and defended the security who basically pushed him out of the way in this day and age, and when we're looking for this division between police authority but he defended him. Hey, it was just a misunderstanding. Now the police department is looking into it. The organization has accepted his explanation, but he said, hey, look, I get it. There were people on the field. These people made it not have known who I was. The guy pushed him out of the way. Maybe thought he was a guy trying to run on the field. They were having some big soccer game that was being played at Lambeau Field. So I love his explanation for this, but I agree with you, Rob. I think Aaron Rodgers is on a mission this year to show that my passing game was not just about Devontae Adams.
All right, let's go surprise disappointment. Gunner, you first. Who's your surprise coming out of the AFC?
My surprise coming out of the AFC is going to be Miami.
Okay.
When I look at how this team is stacked, I love Chase Edmonds as a running back, obviously Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Cedric Wilson, and you got Mike Gesicki as the tight end. Tua can't screw this up. They spent a lot of money in the offseason retooling this team. I still say that I believe that Teddy Bridgewater is going to quarterback this team before it's all said and done. And I think this team is built right now in a sense that it doesn't make a difference who quarterbacks this team, Tua or Teddy Bridgewater. This team is going to surprise some people along the way.
Okay. All right. He goes Miami. How about you, Barrett, in the AFC?
I'm going with Indianapolis, man. I mean, just look at him. Matty Ice is out there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm worried about the weapons he has to throw to, but they have a great defense. I like what they can do. They can make some noise, not just in the division, but in the NFC period.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, AFC period, because I like what they have, man. I like, they finally have that leadership. If they had Matty Ice last year, they could have took it way farther.
Definitely a playoff team. There's no question.
No question about that.
Yeah.
His ability, to distribute the ball, and all right, Michael Pittman, that was his only weapon. Hopefully, Pierce comes in and becomes a better player. I just think, from the tight end position, they need more. They need more.
Doyle retired.
Yeah, so they need weapons, but that running game, I think the running game will take them over the top.
Okay. All right.
Surprise a lot of people.
Good choices. Colts and Dolphins. I'm going to go. I know you may say there's no surprise here, but Ravens. Ravens are kind of being overlooked a little bit. They're a team that was really hurt last year that got healthy and had
That's an understatement.
Yeah. And you know what? They got it at certain positions where they get killed. It was just like 3 deep.
Entire positions.
Yeah. And I thought they had a phenomenal draft, which means their rookies are going to contribute this year to them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Safety. Right, Kyle Hamilton. I know people are wondering what's going to happen here with Lamar's contract. I think they'll get that figured out before the season starts. I do believe that, and then that'll be put to bed, that you're not going to have to deal with that. I think part of Kyler Murray's deal sort of set the bar for where Lamar is going to be ahead of him, but I think they get that taken care of. I don't necessarily love the wideouts. If I had a criticism, that's why I don't have them going deep into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to bounce back, and they're always a tough team to play, man. They're well coached with Harbaugh and that crew. Interesting. They're going to have a little different look defensively, but they're going to be good. I think the Ravens are going to be a team to be reckoned with that we're not really maybe talking about a ton. So I'll go with them. All right, let's go NFC. Let's Derek, you hit it first. NFC surprise. Disappointment. Or no, we didn't get surprise. Surprise, yeah.
My surprise in the NFC will be, I think it's going to be Carolina.
Okay.
I like Baker Mayfield as a wild card. I think they're going to be exciting, unpredictable. Baker's going to make his share of mistakes, but I think he's a big improvement over what they already have down there, Sam Darnold. I just think Carolina, and especially keep your fingers crossed, if Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy. It's amazing that a running back, we always talk about the running back now as the afterthought in the National Football League. But in this case, this is a running back who does so many things well. And I think he's getting to that point in his career. You're going to have to pull back the reins. You can't overutilize this kid the way you used to in the past because he's only played 10 games over the last 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. But if he can stay healthy, I think Carolina's going to surprise a lot of people. I don't know if they're going to be good enough to be a playoff team, but I think they're going to bump some people from the playoff ranks with their caliber of play overall. Barrett's right. We talked about this last week or the week before. The strength of Carolina in the past was always their defense. That's not the case now. But I do think they have enough weapons on the offensive line, and they have a good enough balance with unpredictable Baker Mayfield back there. I think they're going to be a surprise in the NFC.
Okay. Barrett, how about you?
I mean, of course, I can have the Eagles, be that team, you know what I'm saying, just from everything they've done, upgrades they've had, so I could say the Eagles, but I think I'm going to go a little more in depth and talk about the Saints. I think the Saints are a surprise this year.
I wanted to say them, yeah.
You know, bro, say what you want to say. Jameis Winston is a good quarterback. I think he's fixed a lot of things, not just in his game, but, you know, in his head. He understands, you know, that he has a short amount of time to maximize his potential as a starting quarterback in the league. Last year, I think he turned the corner and just got hurt. Now I see him as a guy that's going, you know, he's going to be able to go out there and sustain long drives, you know. Offensive coordinator Carmichael, he's going to do well. He'll be able to, you know, open this offense up. But the weapons that they have, man, you know, their number one draft pick this year, you know, Chris Olave. They went out and got a slot corner. One of the best slot corners been in the league past 5 years is Jarvis Landry. I just watched a little tape, you know, a couple of guys had some video on Michael Thomas coming back. Man, they got some weapons, man. You know, Traquan Smith is there. You know, they have weapons. And then they're running the ball. Yeah, Kamara at this point has probably – he will probably – it's not certain. You let me know yesterday. It's not certain. But he'll get a suspension, you know. So Kamara when he does come back. But until he comes back, Mark Ingram is still a stud at the running back position. They went out and replaced their all-pro left tackle with a guy that, you know, could go out there and place, Trevor Penning. Trevor Penning can you know, hold it down. You know, he was a good tackle last year in college football. So, you know, and we already know what the defensive side of the ball, you know, that secondary especially, you know, with Marshawn Lattimore and the Honey Badger back there. But then you look at the guys rushing the passer and Davenport and Jordan. They're a complete team, man. I just don't know how good Dennis Allen can make them. So we'll see.
It's a talented defense, man. That is really talented defense for sure. I'm going to take the Vikings, and we've talked about the Vikings a lot.
No!
Sorry, Gunner. Your brother's going to be catching somewhere. He's going to be enjoying that. But I think they've been freed a little bit from Zimmer, and I think they have an offensive, forward-thinking offensive mind in there now, which will let some of these weapons flourish. I mean, we talked about the receivers a lot, but they also have Dalvin Cook. They also have a pretty good offensive line. And I think defensively is where they're really underrated. Barrett, your guy, Harrison Smith, you know, patrolling that backfield.
Love Harrison Smith.
And some real players along that defensive line. So I think Green Bay ultimately wins the division, but I think they give Green Bay a lot of noise in that division. Like, they're not going to be an 8-9 team like they were last year. So I would, and that's, you know, I hate to say that because week 2, the Eagles get them, man. And that ain't going to be easy. I can tell you right now, that will not be a walkover by any stretch, even though it's here.
When you look at their roster, bro, they got 2 fullbacks on the roster.
Yeah.
So you know they're gonna pound the ball.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to throw over the top with those 2 receivers.
Yeah.
That's the formula of being a real good team, man.
Yeah, and you get Cook early. Cook early's dangerous because Cook later wears down, but Cook early's dangerous.
Yes.
All right, so let's go disappointments now in each conference. Barrett, you get the first crack at the AFC. Who was your
man, you know, you look at it, you know, a team that's everybody has, you know, all these high aspirations on, you know. I mean, San Fran is a team that, all right, they're supposed to be one of the best in the NFC West. And I just don't think, you know, we are going through NFC, right?
Go NFC. Yeah, go NFC. Yeah.
Okay. I just think that the 49ers got, you know, once their offensive coordinator left, I just think the 49ers, you know, with their lack of support with their starting quarterback. You know, Trey Lance is a guy that not a lot of people believe in. And if you know players on the team don't believe in him, I can see it being a very bad season for this 49er team. Yes, they have weapons. You know, they have one of the best tight end, if not the best tight end in the NFL.
Right.
They can run the ball. You know, they have gadget guys. They got everything you want from the offensive side of the ball. One of the better, if not the best, left tackle in the league.
Mm-hmm.
But they just, you know, to me, can they consistently go out there and run that offense? I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I love their defense. You know, I know Greenlaw and all those guys, they can play. But I don't know if they can, you know, sustain that over, you know, an entire season.
Fair enough. I think I'm with you. Like, I don't think they believe. Everybody's saying it, but I don't think they believe in Trey Lance, and that's not going to go over.
Not at all. Not at all.
D-Gun, how about you? NFC.
Well, for the second time in the show, I'm going to have to agree with Mr. Brooks. This is not good.
Are you all right? You need to lay down after twice agreeing with Barrett? Okay.
You know, this is unbelievable. Twice in one show. I don't even try to do that twice in a month. But I have to pick the 49ers, and it's for obvious reasons. This is a team that's built to win now, a team that could stand toe-to-toe with the Rams if they had the right quarterback. And I don't know if Trey Lance is that right quarterback right now. 71 passes last year. He's inexperienced. And when you're inexperienced, as you know, Barrett, it can cost you in a lot of ways more than it can help you, especially come crunch time.
Absolutely.
Because you're still learning what you're seeing across that line of scrimmage, and defenses are going to play all kind of games with you to find out what you know and what you don't know and how quickly you can adapt in certain situations. So because of that, the 49ers, who went 10-7 last year, I think they're going to take a step back just because that quarterback is in susceptible hands right now.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I think they're in trouble, man. I don't think things go well here. I just feel like there's a lot going on with Kyler Murray, and we'll read those comments in a second. What went down with him? I don't believe in Cliff Kingsbury as an NFL coach. He might be a really great offensive mind, and maybe would work as a coordinator. Maybe goes back to college, but I don't think he's an NFL coach ultimately.
Wow.
I don't. And they lost a couple pieces on defense, and I've seen in the last 2 years collapse, and in really big spots when you play good teams, be terrible. So I don't believe in the Cardinals. I don't even think they're a playoff team. So I think Arizona takes a step back. Yeah, they're the team I have to take a step back. Yeah, big time. So that's kind of where it's at, guys. That was fun. That was a fun little NFL.
Hey, we didn't do the AFC.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
I'll make this real quick.
Go ahead, Barrett.
I would go Ryan Tannehill and the Titans.
I'm same place you're at.
I think they fall apart. Derrick Henry, once you start getting, hurt, you stay susceptible to injuries, and that team is built off him being the lead back. They got rid of 2 really good receivers, and I just don't think they have it anymore.
Yeah, I agree. Like if all of a sudden Derrick Henry becomes like a 15 carry guy for you, what are you at that point?
Yep.
You know what I mean? You lose such a big chunk. All right. How about you, Derek? Where are you at?
I'm going to go Cleveland. Cleveland went 8-9. I'm looking at Cleveland's roster, man. My goodness. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt at running back. You got David Njoku as your tight end. David Bell, Amari Cooper, Donovan People-Jones as your wide receivers. I think those other 2 guys don't get enough. Then you look at this defense. Myles Garrett, Davian Clowney. You got Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, Greg Newsome. I mean, they got everything built.
There's a lot of talent.
But because of the uncertainty at quarterback, again, we don't know how many games Deshaun Watson is going to be suspended. This team's going to spin its wheels. Jacoby Brissett does not do it for me. Joshua Dobbs, Josh Rosen. No. None of those quarterbacks do it for me.
Nope. It better be a short one. If it's a long one, they're in trouble.
They're in trouble. If it's 8 games or more, Cleveland's in trouble. Yep. I wanted to say Pittsburgh. I wanted to say this could be the first time in 16 seasons at the helm of the Steelers, Mike Tomlin will have a losing record. But I keep going back to a few seasons ago when Roethlisberger got hurt, and Tomlin had to weave his way through a season with a bunch of who's and what's, and they still finished 8-8.
Yeah.
Now, their defense, they had some problems last year on defense. The defense wasn't that shutdown defense we're accustomed to seeing in Pittsburgh. But somehow, some way, I think Mike Tomlin's going to find a way to go 9-8 this year at the very worst. So I got to go Cleveland because Cleveland is built to compete now. The quarterback situation, same thing with the 49ers. The quarterback situation is a big pause for me with that team.
Yeah, he's a never write-off guy. Tomlin, you don't write off.
Yep.
And when your defense is that good, maybe they just win ugly. And you're talking about 17-14 kind of games or whatever. Maybe
find a way to get it done.
Yeah, I think it could be that. And maybe Trubisky starts the year and he's just okay enough where he's not killing you and he's game managing. That's kind of their formula, and Pickett could learn for a little bit. If Trubisky's awful and you're throwing Pickett into the fire, that's where I think things really start going off the rails for Pittsburgh.
Well, we got to understand they've been seasons without Big Ben and guys like Mason Rudolph who got crushed with a helmet in Cleveland.
Yeah,
they found a way to win with those guys. So I think they can win with the with the level of quarterback they have right now. because their defense is so good.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right, you can't count Tomlin out.
Yeah. All right, let's step aside real quick. That was good stuff there. We'll come back. We'll do a little open talk, kind of jump around. I'll tell you what Kyler Murray had to say regarding the independent study clause. He's coming out firing. So we'll do that when we get back. Don't go anywhere. Barrett, Derek, Rob, we are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community. A sports roundup for the locals. And the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Back, final segment of the program, Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network, along with Barrett and Derek. I am Rob. All right, so it was revealed a couple days ago that there was a clause in the $240 million contract of Kyler Murray's that called for him to do 4 hours of study on his team tablet so they could keep track of him. And, of course, you know, everything ran rampant after that, the speculation of what was going on. So, he fired back today. He was I don't know if he was supposed to be speaking. It was unscheduled, the press conference, but he, I guess, felt like he needed to defend himself. He spoke for 11 minutes saying it was necessary to get into this. He called it, quote, disrespectful, quote, almost a joke. He went on to say, quote, I'm flattered that you all think that at my size I can go out there and not prepare for the game and not take it serious. He goes on to say, I can't afford to take any shortcuts, no pun intended. Those are the things you can't accomplish if you don't prepare the right way. It's laughable. Of course, I watch film by myself. That's a given. That doesn't even need to be said, but I do enjoy and love the process of watching the game with my guys, the quarterbacks, my coaches. I refuse to let my work ethic, my preparing be in question. I've put in an incomprehensible amount of time, blood, sweat, and tears into the work that I do, whether it's football or baseball. People can't comprehend the amount of time that it takes to do two sports at a high level in college, let alone be the first person ever to do it at my size. It's funny, but to those of you out there that believe I'd be standing here today in front of y'all without a work ethic and without being prepared. I'm honored that you think that, but it doesn't exist. It's not possible. It's not possible. All right. So all of this said, okay, the notion of like it's us on the outside, we wouldn't have known about this had the team not put that clause in there, number one.
Out of that.
Okay.
No. Who leaked it? Who leaked it?
Well, okay, fine. Derek, you're right. But like, again, we don't know any of this stuff.
No,
if it's not in the deal or it's not leaked. So the organization doesn't trust him to do the study on his own, or else they don't put a clause in. And they're not leaking that if they're not trying to turn the heat up on him to study more. Like, I get he's defensive about it. I understand that. But this is not us. This is not speculation.
Okay.
It's a fact.
Well, I'll take it a step farther then. We don't know how it's worded exactly in the contract compared to how it was released out there, how it was revealed out there. Now, It could be embellished to a certain degree how it was released out there. Again, see, this is what I hate about social media stuff. Stuff is put out there. All of a sudden, it's 100 different ways. Okay, so we don't know exactly how it was worded because based on what you've just read, Kyler Murray's statement, he didn't talk about how it's worded in his contract. So we don't know because, see, if you're that concerned with a guy not studying, you don't give him a $231 million contract. Plain and simple.
Maybe, but we haven't heard this kind of thing before, which means either there wasn't that kind of clause in there for other quarterbacks, or the organization didn't feel the need to leak it. I don't think people are trying to stick it to him. I think they're trying to ensure that it gets out there so there's more pressure on him to even study more. I don't know. Okay. Either way, like for me, this is not good, Derek. Any way you slice it.
It's not. But even if they're not trying to stick it to him, it should never have gotten out because now
I agree.
Every major talk show, every ex-athlete who's on a sports show has I've seen all these different shows, ESPN, all these different Fox, and they're talking about, man, how do you not study to play the game at the highest level at the most important position on a team in the National Football League? So I don't blame.
You're right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then how do you give him that kind of contract if you're worried about his study habits?
Right. Like I have more blame for the organization than I do Kyler Murray.
I want to find out
who trust this dude, what are you giving him that deal for?
Exactly. Whether it's from the league office, whether it's the league office or the team, somebody leaked that on purpose.
And to have a leak in your organization that would specifically put that out to make him look bad, to have something that damning.
Could be the league office.
Maybe it could
league
be.
Office
You're right.
gets the
It could very well
contracts.
could be. But it's anyway. So I said it's damning. Go ahead, Barry.
Fellas, you look at it. They didn't want to give him the deal anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they didn't want to give him the deal. Well, there's not a lot of starting quarterbacks, in the world. So I understand why they did give him the deal because he's not a bad quarterback. He's just not the quarterback that's going to go in and spend a lot of time studying and honing his craft. Now it's damning because they had to put it in there just so he can start studying his craft.
Mm-hmm.
But who leaked it? You're right. But I don't care who leaked it. The mere fact that you're trying to defend something that you're doing is crazy to me. Why do you feel as though you have to give a pushback? Evidently, you're not the leader on that team that you should be. And there lies the problem. He is not a leadership quality type of guy, as we can see. Remember, we had talked about it, towards the end of last season, how he just gave up, gave up on the game.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Didn't follow through with the game.
His body language stinks.
Oh, it's atrocious.
Yeah.
But he felt as though he needed, he wiped all Cardinals information off his off his social media. Man, that's being a kid, man. This dude thinks like a kid.
Yeah.
But they're just not, there's only 32 kids that play the quarterback position at a high level in the NFL, bro.
Yeah. That's why I picked them as my disappointment team. I just think there's stuff going on there that's not good.
Absolutely.
All right. Let me throw this at you then. Okay. So he played 14 games last year.
Yep.
He threw for almost 3,800 yards, 24 touchdowns, only 10 interceptions. And his, completion percentage was 69%. even if he didn't study the way we're talking about, and not when I say we, I'm not just talking about us. I'm talking about everybody across the country in the sports media platform has talked about this. Those are not bad numbers for a guy who doesn't study. They're not great numbers. 3,800 yards, 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and just under 70% completion.
All right, let me throw some numbers at you, Derek.
All
right. The playoff game against the Rams, 19 for 34, 137 yards, two interceptions, no touchdowns, 4 yards per completion, and a 40.9 passer rating and a 7.9 QBR. Maybe when it was time to raise the game, the work wasn't put in. And I listen, it wasn't just him. It was everybody, and as it usually is in a team sport, it's not just the quarterback. They lost 34-11, but he stunk in that game. He flat out stunk.
No question. I couldn't agree with you more. But I'm just saying, it just blows me away that you would give him that kind of money if that's your concern.
I agree.
If your quarterback, the most important player on the team, has improper study habits, you use that as motivation when you sit down at a negotiation table with him. And as Barrett said, even if they didn't want to give him that kind of contract, they still gave him the money.
True.
They gave him that money.
Yeah. All right, looking at the same thing. Those are intangibles you don't have to worry about with Jalen Hurts.
Very true.
You know he's going to spend the time in the classroom. You know he's going to do everything possible to try to open up his game and be the best player he can be.
Mm-hmm.
If his numbers are comparable to what Kyler Murray does this year, I mean, the same numbers Kyler Murray had last year. Are they comparable to the numbers this year? Do you give Hurts that type of money?
It's a good question.
I think that's what's fascinating from an Eagles standpoint. Like, I really do, Barrett. It's like, if that's where this is, that's what the market bears. He's heading into the last year of the deal. You don't want him to be a lame duck.
Nope.
He's probably going to get paid. If he's got those kind of numbers, they're likely going to be a playoff team, and probably, even though Arizona didn't, win a playoff game. You can't let that guy walk.
No, you can't.
You're not going to let that guy go into last year of his deal, I don't think.
A la the situation with the Ravens. The Ravens are going to take care of him. It's just
Lamar getting paid. I mean, it's
okay.
Murray set the mark though.
I'll throw this at both of you then. As Barrett just said, if Jalen Hurts plays and puts up the same kind of numbers that Kyler Murray put up this past season, Kyler parlays that into a $231 million contract in an Arizona media fan base. How is that perceived in a Philadelphia media fan base? Is that good enough in the Philadelphia media fan base?
Not from a numbers perspective, you mean?
Absolutely.
Now
remember,
Arizona, because those regular season numbers are pretty good, man, that you just read off. They're pretty darn good.
Is that good enough? How will we critique it in this market compared to Arizona has 15, maybe 20 people covering the team. Yeah. Fan base is just happy to have a football team and something else to do to get out of the heat. Here in Philadelphia, from a fan base to the media, we live, breathe, and eat football. Whether this team goes 17-0 or 0-16, Philadelphia Eagles is king in Philadelphia, period.
Yeah.
How is that perceived here?
I think the playoff part comes into play too, Derek. Like if they if he has those regular season numbers and they get bounced in the first round and he doesn't look good again, that's not going to fly.
That's my point.
Yep. Yeah, that's not going to fly with the public. He would have to, I hate saying he because it's a team, but they would have to win a playoff game and he would have to play well, I think, to really get people on the side of this is the right thing to do. I would think. I think a playoff thing is a big part of it.
And because people are so hot and cold on Howie Roseman, how is Howie Roseman perceived if he gives it that kind of money?
Yeah,
it's a fair question.
They usually like to get ahead of this stuff. They signed Wentz at this point. But he was a first rounder, but they got ahead of. He didn't go into his last year or any of that.
Exactly.
Eagles like being ahead of this because they feel like they get guys cheaper that way.
Exactly. They don't give them fair market value, which is hence why that's what I'm saying. You look at Jalen Hurts, and what is our barometer on a good quarterback, a great quarterback, or a franchise quarterback? See, that's where, because he's already a good quarterback. Say what you want to say. He's going to win you games. You know what I'm saying? And I think that should be the ultimate goal on every quarterback's list. Yeah. Not necessarily throw for 5,000 yards like they do in Minnesota and don't make it to the playoffs, but a guy that just wins.
Yeah.
You know, there lies the decision. That
I agree. I'm not like wed to
win.
Every number. He got to win. Yeah, you got to win.
He will win. The winning column is where it's at.
All right, we got to wrap. That was fun. We didn't even get to birthdays or movies or any of that.
We didn't get to the Bears scenario. Nothing, man.
We'll save it for tomorrow. We'll get it tomorrow.
Man, this show flew by, man. Now comes the most strenuous part of my day.
Oh, you got to babysit. It's babysitting time. Diaper time.
I got 20 minutes.
Diaper Derek. Derek Diaper.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go, D-Gun.
Gunner, have fun.
Get your game face on.
Yeah, let's go. Get focused. Come on, man. Dialed in. So that'll do it for us. I want to thank Xander, our producer, Xander Krause, all of you in the chat room, all of you streaming, all of you listening. We appreciate you. Don't go anywhere. You get the National Football Show with Dan Cilio. That's coming up next. We're back at it tomorrow at the same time. For Barrett, for Derek, I'm Rob. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community. A sports roundup for the locals. And the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams